Good afternoon and welcome to LFS for FA Cup Live as the quarter-final weekend gets underway. 4 games, 8 teams all vying for 4 spots at Wembley at the end of next month. The semi-finals await, and one team's already booked their place in this season's semi-finals after Crystal Palace knocked out Fulham at lunchtime by 3-0 at Craven Cottage in that cracking game for Crystal Palace after they had a very controversial fifth round game, a quarter-final going much easier for them this afternoon. Let's have a look and see what the weekend has got in store in terms of the FA Cup. Already, as I said, Fulham 3-0 loss to Palace, so Palace are through to Wembley, just as they did in 2022 when they faced Chelsea in the FA Cup semi-final. We'll see who they will face, obviously, by the end of the weekend. Our game this evening, Brighton taking on Nottingham Forest, an all-Premier League tie, a Brighton side and a Nottingham Forest side, with both sides really, well, Brighton, decent results in the FA Cup over the last number of years. Never won it, of course, Nottingham Forest. It's been many a year since they lifted this competition. Tomorrow, the only non-Premier League side still in the competition take on Aston Villa. That's Preston. A deep deal, that's tomorrow lunchtime. And then the main game tomorrow is Bournemouth taking on Manchester City. Manchester City, the only side out of the 8, coming into this, the only 8 remaining teams to have won the FA Cup in the 21st century. Every other team has never won it in Brighton, Fulham or Bournemouth, or haven't won it in many a year. Aston Villa, the latest before Man City back in the 1990s. But Man City, the only side of our quarter-finalists to have won this competition in the 21st century. As the players come out onto the field, we can get scenes from Newcastle, which we'll be keeping up to date for you right throughout the evening on this one, as Newcastle celebrate their Carabao Cup victory. There's the scenes in Newcastle. The bus is on the move at the moment along a little motorway there. We will have scenes from that trophy parade as Newcastle pick up their first domestic trophy in 70 years. We'll keep you up to date with that one. Right, it's here at the Amex Stadium. Brighton against Nottingham Forest is the FA Cup quarter-final. Both sides looking for a place in the last 4, and we'll see who can come out on top this afternoon. Let's get the teams then for you for this one, starting with the home side. And in Fabian Hurtzler's team, Bart Verbruggen starts in goal. A back 4 of Jack Hinchelwood, Jean-Paul van Hecke, Adam Webster and Pervis Estupiñán. In midfield, Carlos Baleba and Yassine Yari are the defensive midfield 2, with Jorginho Rutter in the 10. On the right flank is Yankuba Minta. On the left side is Karu Mitoma. And leading the line and captaining Brighton this afternoon is the elder statesman, Danny Welbeck. On the bench for Brighton, McGill, Dunk, Cashin, Tasker, Gomez, Adingra, O'Reilly, Gruda and João Pedro. For Nottingham Forest, they start with Matt Sells in goal. A back 4 of Ola Aina, Nikola Milenkovic, Murillo and Nico Williams in defence. A defensive midfield 2 of Ryan Yates, the captain, and Nicolas Dominguez, with Danilo further forward alongside Elliot Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White in an attacking 3, with Taiwo Awoniyi leading the line for Forest. No Chris Wood after he picked up an injury on international duty. On the bench for Forest, Miguel Morato Toffolo, Moreno Boli Alanga, Hudson-Odoi, Sangare and Jota Silva. Two sides that have had very different Premier League seasons. Brighton, maybe a push for Europe could be on for them in the latter stages. For Nottingham Forest, Champions League seems realistic in terms of their objectives to the end of the season. Kick-off here between Brighton and Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup quarter-final is next. A very good afternoon and welcome to FA Cup Live. Alongside our FA Cup coverage, we'll have coverage of a number of games from around the grounds this afternoon from Europe, from Serie A, Bundesliga, the Scottish Premiership, Liga and the Irish Cup. Of course, last night you would have seen Cliftonville booking their place in the Irish Cup final here in LFS, beating Ards by 3-0. It is Dungannon against Bangor at Seaview this afternoon. It's a 5:30 kickoff, along with a number of those fixtures, some 5:30, some 5 o'clock, some 6 o'clock. So we'll keep you to date with all of those games right throughout the afternoon. We're almost ready for kickoff here this afternoon at the Amex on the south coast. A really good battle this evening. Two very good Premier League sides, and hoping for a place at Wembley will be something these two will dream of. The last time Nottingham Forest were at Wembley was, of course, in the playoffs to get to the Premier League a number of seasons ago. They did, and now they want to go to Wembley and try and battle to get into their place into an FA Cup final. They have to see off Brighton first, a side they beat 7-0 in the Premier League just last month. And Forest get us underway here at the Amex Stadium for this FA Cup quarter-final. Brighton in their blue and white home strip, Forest in their also their home strip of red shirts and white shorts. And two sides, very different styles of football, very different ways of playing the game, but both getting probably ample out of their teams. There's Fabian Hertzler in his first season as Brighton head coach has them in 7th at the moment. Realistic possibilities of a Champions League push themselves, but European football looks likely for Brighton this season. For Forest, 3rd place in the table in the Premier League, and more than certainly a realistic chance of Champions League football for Nottingham Forest. Quite incredible that you can even say those words. Here's young Kuba Minta trying to battle up past Nico Williams and the Welshman. And then the Forest left back comes out on top, winning a throw-in for his team. Of course, it's not been plain sailing for either of these two teams. Certainly not for Nottingham Forest anyway. They've had a tough run in this competition so far. In their last 2 games getting to this stage, they had to come through penalty shootouts. Of course, we watched the game here on LFS in round 5 where they saw off Ipswich Town, another fellow Premier League side. That was at the City ground. They won 5-4 on penalties after a 1-1 draw through 90 minutes and extra time. Here's Williams knocking it forward. The bobbling ball might fall nicely here for Taiwo Awoniyi, who's on the spin. And now he feeds it out wide here. Dominguez to deliver. Good header by Van Hecke to get it away from danger. Kept alive by Gibbs White though. He's tussling with Ruter. Gibbs White feeds it wide to Williams. Nico Williams keeps it in play. And battling with Ruter will be a corner to Nottingham Forest. Ruter a bit confused by that decision, but the decision made is a corner to Nottingham Forest. And I'd say that's probably the correct decision. That was nice work from Forest. It was a long ball by Nico Williams. It kind of fell fortunately for Taiwo Awoniyi, and he made nice work of it. Now Danilo will take this corner, the first of the game for Nottingham Forest down this left-hand side. Danilo, left-footed delivery, got a good whip on it, but it's cleared away by Van Hecke. And now Brighton want a counter-attack, but Mitoma's header well blocked by Ola Aina. Although his hoof into the air from Ola Aina goes well out of play for a Brighton throw-in. But as I was saying about Nottingham Forest, it's been far from plain sailing in this competition this season. For Brighton, they haven't had a penalty shootout or even extra time up until the last round when they had to see off Newcastle at St James's Park. And it took them all the way to the 114th minute for Danny Welbeck, of course, to score that winning goal. That, of course, knocking Newcastle United out in that one. Both sides went down to 10 men in that game as well. Certainly a dramatic round 5 game for Brighton. That's good battling in the midfield there from both teams. They're really tussling for possession. It's Brighton that come out on top this time. Here's Estupiñán. Feeds it wide for Mitoma. Back to Estupiñán now. And now back to Van Hecke. Well, of course, we know what these two teams offer. We've seen them this season playing in their styles. And as I said, both getting really kind of positivity out of the way that they're playing and kind of relative success with their football this season. Of course, Brighton playing that more dominant, controlling, possession-based football where they want to try and grind teams down. They play it a little bit slower, a little bit more rigid, a little bit more kind of intricate with their football. Whereas Nottingham Forest, they sit a bit deeper, they allow the opponent to have a bit more possession, and they try and absolutely batter them on counter-attacks. And so far this season, they've done that massively well. I mean, beating Brighton 7-0 last month in the Premier League, the vast majority of those goals came from counter-attacking positions, from in-transition moves. And that's where Brighton have looked vulnerable at times this season. So that's what makes it a good matchup. Both sides look vulnerable against each other in that sense, against the way each other play. And it'll be interesting to see what way that matchup lies this afternoon here in the FA Cup quarter-finals. Ball over the top. The flag's gone up there against Yankuba Minta. The assistant pretty adamant that he was offside there. It was a ball down the right-hand flank by Hinchelwood, I believe it was, and he just played it straight down the line to the right-hand side, and Yankuba Minta just drifting offside as he made the move there. As far as get this free kick. Milenkovic to Murillo. Nico Williams going forward. A flick on there from Awoniyi. Has Gibbs-White chasing, but Webster should get that one back and does to Verbruggen. He doesn't make it easy, Bart Verbruggen. He will get the throw in as the clearance did come off Gibbs-White as he tried to close him down there. And he almost got success from it there, Morgan Gibbs-White, but it will be a Brighton throw on the far right-hand side. Hinchelwood will take this one. So as I mentioned, we'll keep up to date with the games from around Europe this evening, this Saturday evening. A couple of those kicking off at 5:30, so we'll have those updates from you very shortly. The only game that we're following in Serie A that's underway at the moment is Juventus against Genoa. That kicked off at 5 o'clock. It is still goalless between those two sides in Italy. As Yari does well. Feeds it out wide to Mitoma, who's battling Ola Aina here in the chase as he crosses the halfway line. And does well, Kaoru Mitoma, to win a throw. And of course, helping his country along the way to World Cup qualification for 2026. The Japanese international, Kaoru Mitoma. Japan became the first country to qualify for the World Cup next year in the most recent round of internationals. Van Hecke. A little bit of a slip there from Minta, but he got it back to Jean-Paul Van Hecke. Now Webster. Going to fizz this one to the far right side, and Ruter made the run. And it was just about dealt with by Murillo as he tried to come inside. What a ball by Webster. Over the top, that long diagonal round the right side, and he beat past Williams, did Ruter. But luckily Murillo was in cover for Forest. As now Awoniyi trying to squeeze that one through to Gibbs-White. Well blocked off. Now Dominguez wide to Ola Aina. Aina. That's the turn back away from Kaoru Mitoma. Infield to Elliot Anderson. Danilo. Murillo. Back to Elliot Anderson now. Looking ahead of him. Looking to stride forward here. Plays it into Awoniyi, who holds up well again. Distributes off to Yates. And now finds Ola Aina. It's good possession that from Nottingham Forest. Good control of the ball. And quite a number of times, so that was a poor ball there. Down that right side from Gibbs-White. It gives Brighton the throw in, but a couple of times already we've seen Taiwo Awoniyi kind of try and hold the play up and kind of lay it off in and around him. It's kind of like the target man idea that we see Taiwo Awoniyi being the target man, gets the ball, he holds it up and distributes it wide for his for the wingers and from the wide players for Forest that can cause trouble. It's Brighton again. It's a very good battle the first 9 minutes. I think both sides have combated well and competed well so far. Minta got the ball from Van Hecke, who was caught late there by Taiwo Awoniyi. Ryan Yates is complaining to the referee that there was a foul previously that he didn't give for Forest, but I don't think that is really an incisive argument in the fact that that was a foul from Awoniyi on Van Hecke. It's just a little bit late. He tried to get to the ball. He kind of clipped the right heel of Van Hecke. It is a foul by Awoniyi, and the Forest number 9 getting Brighton a free kick. Van Hecke is okay to continue. There's nothing more on that, really. The ball comes out to the left-hand side here. Mitoma. Yari trying to find the ball into the box there. Just too overhit. Thumbs up from Yankuba Minta, but Yassine Yari's ball just sealed its way behind for a goal kick. It's worth an attempt, though. Here's Elliot Anderson. And this is what we expect. The game to ebb and flow, to kind of to and fro from each team. Expect both teams to give their everything, really, in this one. And I do expect it to be one of those games, if we get an early goal, I do expect there to be a hat full of them. That's a lovely ball out wide here for Nico Williams to chase. He's got company there in Minta, who does really well in closing down the space. And it will be a corner, I believe, to Nottingham Forest. Looked like it came off Minta last. Nico Williams had a long run to chase, and he was well kept company by Yankuba Minta, who does put it out for a Nottingham Forest corner on this left-hand side. Will be their second corner of the game for Forest. Danilo will tick again on this left side. Good whip ball. Headed away by Van Hecke again. He's getting his head to everything at the minute. As the ball whipped back in, and there's a bit of a collision, but I think the flag's going to go up anyway. I think against Ryan Yates, I believe that was, for Nottingham Forest, who was just offside from the second phase of play on that occasion. Again, so far, Brighton looking the more competent in the air at the minute, defending those set pieces pretty well. And Jean-Paul Van Hecke, as I said, getting his head to everything at the minute. Real aerial presence for Brighton. Here's Webster. Mitoma. Now Yari lays it off back to Van Hecke. Tries to squeeze it through the centre. But again, Forest intercepting. As Gibbs White was brought down and is going to get the free kick there. Brighton thought they'd won it cleanly, but the foul given by the referee, Peter Banks. And Forest get the set piece. See it again, it's Yates that cuts it out, and as the ball falls to Gibbs White on the turn, it's Yassine Yari, tries to battle back, and in the end just catches the Forest man, Morgan Gibbs White, in the process. And it's certainly a foul and a free kick to Nottingham Forest. It's Gibbs White involved there. It looks like Murillo's going to take this free kick. Chip ball over the top, gone wide, flicked on in there by I believe it was Anderson. Here brought down now Danilo on the left channel. Danilo looking to try and edge a bit of space to get the cross in. Does get the cross in, but cleared away by Hinshelwood as Gibbs White tries to fizz one into the box now, but that one is going nowhere, but out for a goal kick to Brighton. Yeah, again, competent little move from Nottingham Forest's point of view, but again, just lacking that aerial presence, and maybe that could be the lack of Chris Wood in the team. He is their aerial threat more often than not, and kind of something that they kind of hone in on, really, when it comes to hold-up play. You know, I've already talked about Taiwo Awoniyi deputising in that hold-up role. That's a lovely reverse ball by Awoniyi, by the way, holding it up nicely there. Finds Gibbs-White, and now Yates, again closed down well, that time by Baleba. There's Stupinian with a Yari now, again getting a bit of a muddle. We're Brighton. Forest have it back. Aina. Now Anderson. Through to Danilo, but nowhere to go. But back to Ola Aina again. Oh, a misplaced pass. Just got away with it there. As Anderson comes away with the ball now. Yeah, Nottingham Forest and Brighton both looking a little bit sloppy at the moment with their passes. Maybe getting a bit fortunate that neither side are as sharp as probably what they could be. Of course, both sides having a lot of players returning from all across the world and many different continents because of the internationals. And the international break ending a number of days ago. I expect that after an international break that we do get that little bit of lack of sharpness, lack of vision from both teams, and that kind of lack of cohesion. That ball over the top. Awoniyi chests it down into the box, forced wide by Van Hecke. Gives it wide to Ola Aina now. Trying to squeeze it through, and the ball bobbling, and Awoniyi has the shot saved. Falls now for Nico Williams, not able to get the shot off, and it's cleared away by Yankuba Minta, chasing away, winning the throw-in. But that was a big moment for Nottingham Forest, especially for Taiwo Awoniyi. Again, we see this. Ola Aina comes inside, and as he tries to feed the ball towards Gibbs-White, it bounces off a Brighton player. It falls beautifully for Taiwo Awoniyi from the narrow angle. Has the shot low and hard with his right foot. It's a good save by Verbruggen right in front of him with his right kind of leg. And as it bounces back out, Nico Williams is the first to react, brings it down, not able to shoot. And Yankuba Minta is the one that deals with that situation. But that's a big chance for Taiwo Awoniyi. And a good save by Bart Verbruggen to deny him. Ball around the corner from Elliot Anderson. It's about another bouncing ball, which Awoniyi takes down nicely. Wide on the left this time. Webster for company. Laid it off to Danilo. Claims from both players that it went out for their respective throw-in. And a throw-in it is. And a throw-in to Nottingham Forest. It will be. Decision made by the officials there. In which Nico Williams will now take. Williams maybe going for the long throw here, it looks like. Or he's just going to try and fake it. Marilla was in the vicinity. No, it is a long throw. Williams cleared away easily in there, but Anderson keeps it alive. Feeds it wide again to Nico Williams. Chops away from Minta. Tried to reverse it in behind, but again well blocked that time by Hinshelwood. And cleared long by Baleba, I believe that was. And in the end, it forced Milenkovic to put it out for a throw-in to Brighton there. Again, there's just that little bit of nervousness, maybe from both defences, in the fact that when they play those long balls, both sides' defences struggling to bring that under control at the moment. That's a nice turn by Gibbs-White, and fed a lovely ball down the right here for Dominguez, but he's not in a hurry to get forward. Just played that one back to Ola Aina and absolutely zapped all the momentum out of that counter-attack for Forest. Again, Dominguez had free room down that right-hand side, but decided to turn back on himself and recycle possession for Nottingham Forest. It's not something we often see from them. Of course, very early in this fixture. And in this FA Cup tie. Here's Danilo. Lovely ball down the left. Gibbs-White is on side here. Squares it. Great block by Hinshelwood at the near post. Had to make it. Cleans a handball there from Gibbs-White, but it looks like it will just go for a corner. Again, lovely little combination. Gibbs-White and Danilo. Awoniyi was offside, but Gibbs-White wasn't. Lovely ball between Van Hecke and Hinshelwood. that time fed through, and Gibbs Wycott on the end of it tried to square it across the 6-yard box, and a good sliding block by Jack Hinshelwood put it out for the Forest corner. They're really starting to grow into this one now, the visitors. A bit more possession, a bit more control of the ball, and a bit more in the final third. And now another corner, their third of the game, all from this left-hand side. So Elliot Anderson's just going to get this the ball position checked by the referee. It's checked and is fine by the referee, but the home fans had a bit of a laugh at that. Anderson's delivery deep to the back post, not cleared away. Goodness me, and Kaoru Mitoma tried to get it away, but ended up putting it out for another corner to Nottingham Forest. Far from convincing that time from Brighton's point of view from that corner. They'd been pretty comfortable from corners up until that point, but that time they looked really kind of all over the place, essentially. Just couldn't clear their lines. And Forest will get their first corner from this right-hand side, their fourth of the game. 20 minutes gone, Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. Anderson will take this one on the right side now. Right-footed delivery, whipped away from goal, and headed away from danger by Hinshelwood. And I think that might have been, was that Baleba? I put that one out for the throw. Or Yankuba Minta, sorry, it was. They got involved and give Nottingham Forest a throw in down the left side there. And it just seems like Brighton are under the cosh a little bit at the minute. It's not able to get out of trouble, not out of danger. And Forest are having a bit of fun now. Ola Aina goes for the long throw into the box. Didn't quite reach a player in red. And Williams the first to react to the clearance. And again, Forest just recycle possession once more. Ball into the box. Too close to Bart Verbruggen, who claims it comfortably. And now wants to send his team on a counter. But that's a really poor ball. Really poor. I think that might have been Baleba that time again. And try to find Minta on the far right side and just put it straight out of play for a throw. And we talked about Brighton loving more of the ball. In the last 5 minutes, they've had 12% of the possession. The home side, 88%, contrastingly for Nottingham Forest. So certainly the visitors enjoying the lion's share of possession at the minute, sharing that dominance that they pose. A reminder for you, we are watching a number of games around Europe at the minute in the Irish Cup semi-final between Bangor and Dungannon Swifts. It's still goalless at Seaview in North Belfast. We'll keep an eye on that one for you to see who will face Cliftonville, the holders, in the 2025 Irish Cup final at Windsor Park at the start of May. We'll let you know what happens there and when it happens as well. Elsewhere, there has been a goal between Dundee FC and Rangers in the Scottish Premiership, and it looks like Rangers, they're not going to be in a title race this season, and that goal probably shores that up now. Simon Murray has given Dundee the lead after just 2 minutes in that one. Rangers were already 16 points behind Celtic after the champions win against Hearts at home at Celtic Park at 3 o'clock, and Rangers now really not capitalising upon a chance they really need to and try and take 3 points this afternoon. It's 1-0 to Dundee, but very early stages there. Frankfurt and Stuttgart in the Bundesliga still goalless as well, and Juventus have taken the lead against Genoa at the moment in that one. Kenan Yildiz with the goal has given Juventus the lead at the moment. So a couple of goals there for you. Halfway through the first half here at the Amex Stadium between Brighton and Nottingham Forest in this FA Cup quarter-final. Still goalless. Forest have had the better of it in the last 5 to 10 minutes. Nothing to show for it at this minute in time. As Welbeck comes away with the ball here. Mitoma on the halfway line. Has to go back to Webster. Feeds it wide for Welbeck. All Brighton need is to get up out of the ball at the minute. They've been really struggling to keep possession. Forest have done really well at winning the ball back through their press, but also forcing Brighton to make a couple of mistakes. And the mix of that lack of sharpness and that pressure they're feeling at the minute is just massively compounding the pressure on Brighton at the moment. Nottingham Forest riding the crest of a wave at the minute. But as I said, nothing to show for it yet in terms of the scoreline. They do have a throw in here on the left-hand side. Well, this is, of course, if you didn't know already, the first meeting between these two sides in this competition. They've never in their histories met in the FA Cup before, which to me was quite a shock, considering the histories of these two clubs. But never met before in the FA Cup. Of course, in the Championship and in the Premier League, of course, they have, but never before in the FA Cup. For Forest, it's not good reading when they head to Brighton, in that fact. They haven't beaten Brighton at the Amex Stadium since 2015. They went to Brighton in the Championship back in 2015, won by 3-2 on that day. But in 5 meetings since, Brighton have won 3 of those, and there's been 2 draws, including their 3 Premier League meetings here at the Amex. Brighton are unbeaten against Nottingham Forest since their return to the top flight. The Reds, and it's not good reading for Nottingham Forest on that front. They have beaten them, of course, this season, 7-0, quite convincingly, but that was at the City Ground. But they haven't beaten them away from home in the Premier League. 26 minutes gone. Still goalless. Here is Nico Williams. Murillo feeds the challenge, but his ball is given away to Van Hecke. A nice space for Welbeck. Get the second chance to find Mitoma. Here is Caoimhan Mitoma entering the box. Couldn't find Welbeck as the ball falls and the shot, oh, just goes wide from Yasin Ayari there. That was a sweeping effort across goal. Again, it's good work from Mitoma. Finds his way into the box, and as he tries to find Welbeck, it just evades him. Too much pace on it. The ball comes falling out, cleared away by Forest, and as it falls, bouncing to the edge of the box, an on-running Yasin Ayari strikes it across goal. It just curls away by mere inches. I think it took a deflection on the way through as well, because it will be a Brighton corner. That's maybe the moment they needed to try and get and swing the momentum back in their favour at the minute, the Seagulls. As it's Estupinian to take the corner. Left-footed delivery to the back post in the header. There's going to be a foul in the mix going the way of Nottingham Forest, so it doesn't count. Doesn't matter. What happens? It looked like they were going to give a goal kick anyway, but a free kick's been given to Nottingham Forest for a foul from that sort of area. Fabian Hertzler just having a chat there with Jack Hinchelwood on the sidelines, adding a bit of information. Of course, Fabian Hertzler is actually younger than a number of his players, especially Danny Welbeck. He's younger than Danny Welbeck is Fabian Hertzler, just 32, the German. Danny Welbeck, who captains his team today, is 34. So 2 years his senior is his captain. Which is not often you see that in football, but that's the case for the Premier League's youngest manager, Fabian Hertzler. Here's Van Hecke. Brighton taking their time in possession. Hinchelwood. Back to John-Paul Van Hecke. Webster under pressure, which kind of upsets the possession. Van Hecke forced into a hopeful ball down the right channel, but there's going to be a foul given away by Jorginho Rutter as he tried to battle for the ball. Ends up committing the foul there, and a free kick to Nottingham Forest. It just looks like Brighton, whenever they come under a little bit of a press from Nottingham Forest, they really kind of panic and kind of go all wayward, because Adam Webster there was under a little bit of pressure, not major pressure for a Premier League centre-back, a little bit of pressure, and he just kind of skewed the pass away from Van Hecke, which put Van Hecke under pressure, who just hampered possession, and, you know, it just kind of upset the apple cart, really, and the pressure really pounding on as Aina's ball is cleared away by Van Hecke. Kept alive here by Anderson. Yates now. Milenkovic gives it wide. Gibbs White feeds it on to Ola Aina. Aina trying to cross again. Blocked at the near post. Kept alive by Ola Aina as the ball comes back to him. Gibbs White with a cross now. But that one is too far away. Goal kick. Yeah. Far from convincing. That from Brighton's point of view, but Nottingham Forest's more positivity. We have our opening goal in the Irish Cup semi-final. And it has come between Bangor and Dungannon, of course. And it is the Premiership side, Dungannon Swifts, that have taken the lead. It looks like the two Championship battlers in the semi-finals might be toppled. And it looks like Dungannon Swifts have taken the early lead. It's an own goal in that one that has given the Premiership side the lead. Bangor 0, Dungannon 1. And I think it's Kyle Owens that's given away the own goal. I'll corroborate that for you in a moment. But it is 1-0 to Dungannon. It is Kyle Owens, by the way, that own goal. And the Championship side behind. Hinchelwood. Van Hecke gives it wide to Mintonai. Dribbling in field. Goes across to Estupinian, who will shoot, and a good save needed to be made by Matt Sells. Something of nothing from Pervis Estupinian there. A strike from a very long distance out, about 30 yards. And as he strides onto his left foot, he rifles it right at Matt Sells. It takes a bounce as it heads towards the Forest keeper, and he just has to try and scoop it away from the goal. I mean, far from convincing goalkeeping, really. He'd already committed to his dive, which is probably why he had to adjust last second. But that turned into something dangerous from literally a simple strike from distance. And that really could have caused the Forest keeper some problems on that occasion. Oh, Brighton really sloppy in their possession again. Really sloppy, and after just doing something spectacular, Pervis Estupinian with a really poor challenge on Ryan Yates gives away a free kick. Again, it's those loose passes from Brighton. Really loose, really sloppy. And it's just enticing Forest to win the ball, and they win it cleanly, but they're enticing their own players. And they're getting caught out time and time again in those 50-50 battles. And yet Pervis Estupinian there, the latest to be penalised for that. And it's a free kick to Nottingham Forest. Ryan Yates, the one that was fouled that time. Just really poor in possession at times, Brighton. And Forest took this free kick short. Murillo. Try and switch it back out to the right side. A bit behind Aina. He does make it work though. Ola Aina steps inside of his man. Now finds Gibbs White. Has to turn it back though to Elliot Anderson. Anderson's ball over the top. Gibbs White takes it down. Hits the chest of Gibbs White. The ball's still in play as it bounces down into the box. Nico Williams trying to get on the end of it. Well blocked in there. Murillo couldn't get it cleared away. or kind of back up to the danger zone as Brighton do clear it away, as I mean, what I mean. Elliot Anderson stolen it away again from Mitoma. The cross from Gibbs White. Whoa, just ahead of Taiwo Awoniyi in the box. I gotta say, Nottingham Forest are really sharp, and Brighton look dazed, really dazed at times. They're all over the place. When they get done in possession, they are all... I mean, there's no organisation whatsoever. I gotta be honest, Brighton really needs to buck up their ideas, because at the minute, a minute or two ago, Gibbs White got the ball from Elliot Anderson over the top, and as he got to the byline, he chested it down but got the cross in. The flag didn't go up. The Brighton players just stopped as if they were expecting a goal kick to be given, but they didn't play to the whistle. And in the end, they could have been caught out if one of the Forest players was a little bit quicker with his attack and move, and in the end they got away with it. But at the minute, Brighton are really playing some sloppy stuff and probably getting away with murder at the minute. The fact that Nottingham Forest haven't been able to capitalise upon it so far. Brighton have been really poor in possession, and Nottingham Forest is not able to get in the right areas to shoot. Just one shot so far for the visitors. So not able to capitalise upon that, but they're certainly getting balls into the right area, crosses into the right area. That's a nice bit of pressing from Danilo there to win the ball back in the final third. Elliot Anderson jinking away from one, feeding it in behind. Well blocked by Hinchelwood as Baleba tries to carry it away for Brighton. And now he tries to find Mitoma's run over the top, but Milenkovic should have that one covered, and does. And gets it back to his keeper, Sells, who just plays it out to Murillo, who was slightly caught out, but again, Brighton not able to make anything of that. And just back to Matt Sells in the Forest goal. Just over less than 10 minutes, to go in the first half. Brighton 0, Forest 0. And at the minute, just looks pretty routine for Nottingham Forest. They've grown into the game. They had a little bit of a slow start, but they've grown into the game and are really starting to add a little bit more pressure on Brighton without really testing Bart Verbruggen too many's a time. Taiwo Awoniyi's shot that was safe from the narrow angle is the closest we've come to an opening goal. Sells his clearance. Just too high for Nico Williams. Will be a Brighton throw in there on the right side. Already an away team has won in an all Premier League battle in the FA Cup this afternoon. Crystal Palace knocking out London rivals Fulham in that derby at lunchtime. Palace 3-0 victors. Simple enough. Pereyeza, Ismail Assar and Eddie Nketiah with the 3 goals for Crystal Palace. And Oliver Glasner, the Palace head coach, described it as quite unbelievable in the fact that they are where they are, Crystal Palace, and they're competing to the end of this season. Could have a European chase on if they can get a couple of wins in the Premier League in the final 9 weeks of the season. And they had a really strong end to the season last year when Oliver Glasner came in. Now here come Forest. Lovely little turn from Nico Williams. Has to go back to Dominguez. Just that level of control from Nottingham Forest at the minute. You know, I noticed something a bit earlier on from Dominguez. It's free space down the right channel, and he decided to turn back with the ball and just recycle possession to Ola Aina. And a number of times I've witnessed that from Nottingham Forest, where they're not looking to go gung-ho and just absolutely throw 11 bodies forward, or as many bodies forward as they can at any given opportunity. They're being a little bit more controlled, a little bit more kind of calm with their build-up play, and adding a little bit of a mix. As that's a ball over the top, and Mitoma's made the run in behind, but again, strong covering by Nikola Milenkovic, and he allowed it to usher back to Matt Sells. Again, nice little combination from Brighton. Again, the space was there. Aina was beaten. Mitoma had made the perfect run in behind. But it was strong defending by Nikola Milenkovic to get back across this attacker on the right side of him and see that one back to his goalkeeper. Anderson. Williams. Back to Elliot Anderson. Passing it around. Long kick there by Seld. Come off the back of the head of Morgan Gibbs-White, but it will all bobble back to Bar Verbruggen. No real pressure there on that ball. Let's have a quick look around the grounds again from our European matches this evening that we're keeping an eye on. It's 1-0 to Juventus at half-time against Genoa. Still 0-0 between Frankfurt and Stuttgart. That was a 5:30 kickoff. Dungannon Swifts leading Bangor by a 1-0 in that game in the Irish Cup semi-final. It's Dundee 2, Rangers 0 in that one. Rangers getting absolutely shafted by Dundee at the minute. Joseph Shaughnessy with the second goal. That's doubled Dundee's lead, and they were trying to push for a third there a minute ago. Dundee still 2-0, and Saint Etienne against PSG is a 6 o'clock kickoff. That's the latest update from around the grounds. Less than 5 minutes to go here at the Amex. Still 0-0 in this FA Cup quarter-final. Two teams well matched in their Premier League performances this season, but in terms of the way their seasons are looking, both chasing Europe. In this first half, Forest have had the better of it, but just not able to find that goal that would separate the two sides, and that's what's giving Brighton hope. And certainly, it's a rightful reason to have hope, and the fact that you haven't been at your best in this first half in terms of Brighton, and they still haven't conceded. They are still level in this tie, and sometimes, especially in cup ties, it's not about how you play, it's just about getting the result and getting over the line. And that's all that will really matter come the end of the result. Oh, that's a awkward cross. Minta's cross was going to the far side, and as it just caught the wind, it curled its way towards Matt Sells, but the Forest keeper well alert to it and caught it quite comfortably. Something that could have been a bit of an issue for him turned out to be a non-issue in the end. Mitoma. Oh, caught in possession there, Mitoma, by Dominguez. Aina skips away from two challenges. Runs into another one, though, and loses the ball to Estupiñán. Now here's Hinchelwood. Brighton need to add a little bit more tempo to their game. They're just being too slow at the moment. Reluctant to come forward. Again, caught in possession, no foul there as Van Hecke just thumps it away. Aina returns it back to where it came from. Chested down by Webster that time for Brighton. And Estupiñán's ball down the left channel, one for Yari to chase, but Milenkovic does well. And a good hold up there from Dominguez. And both sides continuing to battle for the ball, and the referee is just going to pull this back for Nicolas Dominguez to get a foul here. Yeah, we'll see this again. Yeah, he's just stood on the foot of Dominguez there, Mitoma. Yeah, just a bit inadvertent. Certainly not malicious, certainly not deliberate, but certainly a foul. Murillo looking for the switch ball. Gibbs-White got involved, brought down by Yates. Now Danilo. Minute and a half of the first 45 to go. Still goalless. Gibbs-White to Aina. Back across to Murillo. And that's a poor touch that time. That's really poor touch. I think that was Dominguez, and it goes out for the Brighton throw. Ball over the top there from Brighton. Had Milenkovic a question to answer. He did answer it and cleared it away. Anderson starting to lose those aerial duels now, Forest, and Brighton may be trying to wrestle a little bit of control before half-time. Verbruggen now finds Van Hecke. They need to get a little bit quicker. They need to be a little bit quicker with their passing at the minute, Brighton. As Van Hecke, nice ball out to the left channel, finds Mitoma. Mitoma takes his man on, gets the ball in. Anderson clears it away. The shot, from Carlos Baleba, goes rifling wide, not too far away. It absolutely cleans out a camera behind the goal. They got a clean whack there. Again, it's Mitoma. Has the cross put in. It's cleared away by Anderson at the edge of the 6-yard box, and as it falls to Carlos Baleba, he strikes it cleanly, and it's just curling wide a goal. Not too far away, that one. That was a proper effort with a massive amount of pace on it, and come very close to giving Brighton the lead there. Still 0-0 though, with 1 additional minute at the end of the half. 1 additional minute then. Already halfway through that minute as Forest get a free kick there. Anderson fouled. This will be surely the last action of the half, this free kick. We'll have analysis of the game at half-time, and we'll look back at Crystal Palace's win. Plus, we'll keep up to date with Newcastle's Carabao Cup celebrations after their victory over Liverpool a number of weeks ago. It's Murillo's free kick towards the box, flicked into the area, brought down by Yates and returned, but the offside there, and that will be a goal kick, and that will be half-time. A first 45 minutes where neither side could find the nets, but a first 45 of promise, really, for both teams. Very different ways. Forest have shown a lot of attacking quality into the final third, not getting as many shots or testing Verbruggen enough, but for Brighton's point of view, the fact they haven't been anywhere near their best in that first half, quite sloppy in fact, the fact that they haven't conceded or aren't behind, and they're level in this game, is a massive vein of hope for Brighton as well. Half-time in this FA Cup quarter-final. It's Brighton 0, Forest 0. Second half on the way in 15 minutes. We'll have an analysis of that first half on the way in just a moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back to FA Cup Live. Half-time at the Amex Stadium. It's Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0 at the break. In that one, we will update you from around the grounds now as well. Juventus have just started the second half there in Italy, in Turin. It is Juventus 1, Genoa 0 in that one. It's still goalless between Frankfurt and Stuttgart in that Bundesliga game. Bangor are still 1-0 down against Dungannon Swifts in that Irish Cup semi-final. It's still 2-0 to Dundee against Rangers in that one in the Scottish Premiership, 2-0 there. And it's Saint Etienne 0, PSG 0. Only the first couple of minutes have gone in that one. Right, half-time here at the Amex. And really, a first half where neither side really showed enough. I mean, after thinking about it for the last few minutes, yes, Nottingham Forest had some good chances in the final third, but nothing where you think that's a certain goal or they really should have made better of that. Maybe the only chance of the half, which was their only shot of the half, kind of registered shot, was Taiwo Awoniyi's effort from the near the far post narrow angle that was saved by Bart Verbruggen. That's the only real time Nottingham Forest tested the Brighton keeper in that first half. But for Brighton, they've really struggled to get the ball forward, to keep the ball, to really threaten Nottingham Forest on any real occasion. And it's one of those games where at the minute they're playing it too slow, they're too sloppy, they're not sharp enough, and it's all the combination of all of those things that's just compounding the struggles of Brighton in that first half. And they are struggling to get anywhere in this game, albeit, as I said just before, with my recap there just before the break, I basically mentioned they will still show kind of positivity in that first half. The positive they can take is the fact that they're still in this tie, that they haven't conceded, that they haven't found themselves with a deficit to try and overcome with a poor first half. They're still battling in the game and still very much in this tie, and they come out in the second half with a little bit more energy, a little bit sharper, and moving the ball a little bit quicker. They can start to test Nottingham Forest. But with the combination of all of those things, the slow pace, the really sloppy play at times, and the real lack of quality going forward has really hampered Brighton in that first half. But they're well capable of competing in this game. That's why I expected this game to be a real well-matched affair. And I think so far it's been well-matched in the fact that neither side have really tested either goalkeeper on many an occasion in that first half. And I think that's why we sit at 0-0 at the break. The only chance, as I said, Taiwo Awoniyi's effort saved by Bart Verbruggen quite comfortably. I'm just seeing shots of... I did mention the camera was absolutely thumped by that shot from Carlos Baleba. And the photographer, the videographer, whatever the guy is, he's not particularly happy. He's talking to one of the stewards there, it looked like, and he's not particularly happy his camera got a real whacking, but wrong place to have it. When you have it behind the goal, you always have to be wary of that factor of maybe losing a camera, or certainly losing part of a camera anyway, from that first half. Right, that is where we stand at the break in this one at the Amex, of course. We still have the second half to come, obviously, so a long way to go before this tie is decided. At the minute, we'll be going to extra time and penalties. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. We don't want that. Unless we get straight to penalties, which I'd much prefer than that. We can now head to Townmoor, I believe that is, because Newcastle United, they're celebrating their Carabao Cup victory today. They have won the Carabao Cup, their first domestic trophy in 70 years, and at the minute, one of their club legends, probably one of their most memorable legends, Alan Shearer, is on the stage addressing the crowd, speaking to, of course, Pete Graves, the Sky Sports reporter, who is a Newcastle fan himself. A great day for him and the whole city of Newcastle. We can get pictures of those scenes now for you. And I don't know if we can hear from Alan Shearer. We might be able to. We might not be able to. I don't know. Well, if I can.
Should we start making Dan Ben the movie?
There we are. We can hear from him now.
Week after the cup final, or during the cup final, and then for England, it should be now known as Dan Burn Week. I mean, can you imagine the career that he had, where he had to go, what he had to do? He did it the hard way, and he came back to his club, and he scored a goal at Wembley in front of all of you guys. I mean, how special must that have felt? And he deserves it because he's one of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
Alan, you said right at the start, mate, we could get used to this. I mean, we've waited 70 years since the last domestic trophy, but do you think this is the start? Is this the launch pad? Do Newcastle United go on from this and win more trophies, more success?
Well, I bloody hope so, because we waited long enough. And yeah, when you look at what happened to Chelsea, when you look at what happened to Manchester City, and I know that PSR rules are all different now and make it different, but we really, really hope that this is the start. But I have to say, if we're lucky enough to go on and win another trophy, it will not be as good as what it was 2 weeks ago at Wembley, because that was just incredible. It really was.
Did that
Incredible hearing from Alan Shearer there live in that celebration party for Newcastle United, of course, winning the Carabao Cup at Wembley against Liverpool 2 weeks ago. So they're celebrating that. The trophy parade will continue. We'll continue to bring you pictures from that. The players should be arriving very shortly to that area where they will greet their fans. We'll hear from Eddie Howe as well. That should be in about 20 minutes time, around about 6:30. That should be taking place. Right, we've already had an FA Cup quarter-final come to a close this weekend. At lunchtime, Crystal Palace put Fulham to the sword at Craven Cottage, 3-0 victors. There to book their place in the Wembley semi-final. The last time they were in a Wembley semi-final, Crystal Palace, was in the FA Cup in 2022. They went to the final back in 2016 when they were beaten by Manchester United, of course. Back then, the 2016-17 season, the Palace were beaten. So, a pretty good run in the FA Cup the last number of years, Palace, and they're heading to Wembley once again, and Oliver Glasner claiming it as unbelievable where his team are at this minute in time. A real thrashing of Fulham at lunchtime this afternoon, and that's the first of the 4 quarter-finals. Let's have a look at the way the quarter-finals line up. As I said, Palace winning by 3-0 earlier this afternoon. Berrieze, Ismail Assar and Eddie Nketiah, the 3 scorers there for Crystal Palace. Is 0-0 between Brighton and Forest at half-time. Preston, the only non-Premier League side in the competition remaining, they are taking on Aston Villa at Deepdale tomorrow lunchtime, before Bournemouth host Manchester City tomorrow at 4:30. At the Vitality Stadium. We will have that game live here on LFS tomorrow. Don't forget about that. Bournemouth, Manchester City tomorrow, 4:30 live here on LFS. And then the semi-finals come rolling around as we get to the final 4 of this season's competition. That is the end of next month, 26th and 27th, that weekend of April. That's a Premier League weekend as well. So it might be some disruption and some rescheduling going on, but the semi-finals of this season's competition well awaited for as well. Looking forward to that one, with some exciting Premier League fixtures to come for you actually in the month of April. Of course, you've seen on our advert there of what's to come in April, and I can just read you out some of the fixtures, because of course we released we're going to have at least 12 fixtures in April in the Premier League over a number of weekends. Lots of football in the Premier League to come. It starts this midweek. 3 games all throughout the week. Nottingham Forest Man United kicks us off on Tuesday night from the City Ground. So we'll be watching Nottingham Forest again as they continue their chase for Champions League football next season. Then on Wednesday night, it's the Merseyside derby as Liverpool, the league leaders, look to get another step closer to another title. They take on Everton. That's Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. And then on Thursday night, it's a London derby. Chelsea chasing Champions League and European football, and Tottenham trying to rescue anything from their season. That's on Thursday night. Then next weekend, we have a massive game next Sunday. Manchester United against Man City, the Manchester derby at Old Trafford for you at 4:30 next Sunday afternoon. Then on the 13th of April, Liverpool West Ham, with Newcastle Man United to come as well in a few weeks. Bournemouth against Fulham, Ipswich against Arsenal, Leicester Liverpool, of course, to come from King Power, Tottenham Forest, Bournemouth Man United, Liverpool Tottenham, and then Man City, Aston Villa as well. There is a number of fixtures to come in April from the Premier League here in LFS, and that's only a number of them. We haven't decided that that's all we're giving you. That's the very least we're giving you in the month of April, and then we've a whole month of May to come. For the final 2 months of the season are on the horizon. Right, the second half between Nottingham Forest and Brighton. It's goalless at the break at the Amex in this FA Cup quarter-final. We'll be back for the second half. It's on the way next. Welcome back to FA Cup Live. Let's have another quick look at the scenes of those Newcastle fans. Look at that crowd of people looking to celebrate with their players and their manager for their first trophy in 70 years. Domestic trophy in 70 years, their Carabao Cup victory. Celebrating there. Look at that crowd. And there will be many more, I'm sure, arriving there very shortly when the players arrive with those buses very shortly. We heard from Alan Shearer a few moments ago, and looking forward to that. Look at those scenes. Fantastic for Newcastle United. Right, let's get back into this one. Brighton are just coming out for the second half. Still 0-0 between these two as we get ready to get the second half underway. Again, it's anybody's game really at this stage. No matter what happened in the first half, doesn't really matter. It's all out the window. It's a clean slate for the second, and it is anybody's game for the next 45 minutes at least to try and book their place in a Wembley semi-final. Either of these two teams. Both would love it, and both would probably need it, because if they want to continue that massive positivity of their season so far. At half-time in that Irish Cup semi-final, it's Bangor 0, Dungannon 1, so it's still all to play for there. Dundee have had their lead cut in half. The man who scored Dundee's second goal actually gave Rangers a goal back with an own goal there. It was Joseph Shaughnessy who scored the second for Dundee. He's got one back for Rangers just before half-time. And Saint Etienne have taken the lead against PSG in that one. Lucas Stassen, the Belgian international, has given Saint Etienne the lead there in that one in Ligue 1. Right, that's the latest from those games. Back here to the Amex, where it is Brighton and Nottingham Forest battling it out in this second half, at least for another 45 minutes. Try and book their place in a semi-final at Wembley in the FA Cup. Red v Blue. Only one of these two teams can get their spot, and we're underway for the second half here at the Amex. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated, and we thank each and every one of you who's been joining us this afternoon for this one. Taiwo Awoniyi there, involved in the first action of the second half, sorry. Webster trying that ball over the top, well blocked by Milinkovic and cleared away. Dominguez caught in possession, a little bit sloppy there. Baleba gives it through on the turn, was well back, and now the cut back across from Yasin Ayari there, goes out for the corner off Milinkovic. That's the start of the second half that I'm sure Brighton were really hoping for. An early corner, an early attack, putting Nottingham Forest on the back foot inside the first minute of the second half. And now a chance in the first minute of this second half. Yasin Ayari, who won the corner, will take it. It's Brighton's second corner of the game. Ayari over it, left-hand side. Be a right-footed in-swinger. Cleared away at the front post. Brought down by Mitoma. Fizz back wide to Yari, whose cross is low. Held up by Ruter on the spin. Gets it across. And the shot goes sailing over the bar from Jorginho Ruter from that really narrow angle. Again, it was nice work. Mitoma back to Ayari. Ayari just fizzed it across to Jorginho Ruter. Took it under control. Spun his man. And Nico Williams away from him. And as he tried to strike it into the roof of the net, it just goes sailing narrowly over the crossbar and out for a goal kick. That's a good chance for Jorginho Ruter and a positive start to the second half for Brighton in this one. Certainly the start to the second half they needed after a pretty lacklustre first 45 from the Seagulls, where they really couldn't get their momentum going and the rhythm in the game at all. We have a whole second half to change that. Milenkovic goes for the long one over the top. This time Van Hecke beats Abonyu to it, and Hinchelwood clears it away. Oh, his ball well won back by Nico Williams. Gibbs White back to Anderson. Yates to Murillo. Give it out wide again to Anderson. Lovely little flick by Gibbs White, and that's a through ball by Danilo. Awonyi on the end of it, wide of the box. Comes out wide here. Williams, now Gibbs White! Oh, just over the bar. It might have took a touch in the way through, I think it did, from Bart Verbruggen. That was a rifling effort by Morgan Gibbs White. Laid off by Williams. He struck it from about 25 yards. Right-footed, straight, right down the middle. Just looked like it was dipping under the under the crossbar, and Verbruggen had to get a hand to it and put it behind for the corner, of which Elliot Anderson will take. Right-hand side. Anderson right-footed. Header flicked on, not anywhere near the goal as Estupinian can try and get it away from danger. He does. Chested down by Ruter, that clearance, but Danilo's recycled it back. And now Gibbs White battling down the right side here. Lovely little back heel. Finds Ryan Yates. Yates into the box. Yates across. Too high for Anderson to control. And Brighton clear it away. Both sides coming out in this second half with a bit between their teeth to get off to a very quick start. And both sides have some decent opportunities in the first couple of minutes. Both coming out with a lot of energy, a lot of determination. Still trying to search for that opening goal. A very good, very bright start to the second half from both teams, really. Really positive start to the half in an attacking sense. Here's Van Hecke. Ruter. Back to Estupinian. Now Webster steps into midfield, feeds it off to Ruter. His heavy touch. Almost intercepted, but made it work to Estupinian. And now Mitoma gets the cross in, but far too close to Matt Sells, who wants to send Gibbs White on the chase, but that was fabulous covering by Van Hecke. Again, it's just a bit end-to-end to start the half here. That's what we want to see. Van Hecke. Certainly, that's a neutral kind of perspective. We want an end-to-end game. We want a very attacking, high-tempo, open game of football. Something neither side gave us in the first half, and that's a poor ball by Ryan Yates. Couldn't, well, certainly was going to reach Ola Aina, but it overhit towards the Forest right back. And goes out for the Brighton throw on this right-hand side. Now, Minta arriving into the box here. Oh, Williams doing just enough, goes down and gets the free kick. a little bit delayed, that, the referee's decision. I mean, Kuba Minta deemed to have committed a foul on the Welshman, who's stayed down here. See it again. Yeah, there's strong defending by Nico Williams. He might just go over his ankle there a little bit. Jan Kuba Minta, which hurts Nico Williams. And I gotta say, the reaction from Fabian Hertzler to that given as a foul certainly couldn't repeat what I thought he'd said, but let's move away from that. And the shots of the Brighton crowd. I'm sure, what would they be feeling for their season? Of course, they did get to Europe a number of seasons ago. Or was it last season? The season before last. They got their first ever season in Europe, did Brighton, and first time they'd ever been in Europe as a club, and now they have the realistic chance of doing it again at the end of this season with a positive finish in the Premier League, 7th at the moment. There's no reason why they couldn't finish in the top 6 or the top 5 even, which would guarantee them a Champions League place. That's not out of the question. They're only a point behind 5th place Manchester City. They're only actually 2 points behind 4th place Chelsea, so they're very much in the mix, Brighton, in terms of a Champions League battle at the moment. Well, for Nottingham Forest, they're well in a battle for Champions League football. They're 3rd. They're a good 7 points clear of 6th place Newcastle, who are outside those Champions League places. So they're in a very strong position, Nottingham Forest, going into the final 9 games of the season, with a lot on the line for them. As Awoniyi shoves the defender out of the way. Williams chips it into the box. Awoniyi to chase, but just gets to Verbruggen first, the ball, before it gets anywhere near Taiwo Awoniyi. The referee not the most popular from the crowd's point of view. They felt that Awoniyi committed a foul there in shoving Jean-Paul Van Hecke. But no foul, said the referee. To me, it just looked like a little shoulder barge. It's nothing too much in it. Oh, Van Hecke. Wasteful ball. And now Danilo played it in behind. The flag stayed down at the moment against Awoniyi. The flag's now gone up. Why did they wait for 2 seconds more? I mean, you could see it was offside, so that's why I was saying the flag stayed down, because I was quite shocked that it did, and then it did go up just as I said it. There from the assistant. He was miles offside. Here's Mitoma. And he's taken out there by Ola Aina. As he tried to step inside, Aina just straight out of leg. And it's certainly a foul. And a free kick to Brighton here. This very open start to the second half. Certainly got the crowd up. Certainly got the tempo up in this game. It's turned into a real fine tussle at the minute between the two sides. I'd say the opening goal is really crucial to kind of garner momentum for either one of these two teams. Brighton have only lost 2 home games in the Premier League this season. Won 6, drawn 6, and lost 2 of their 14 home Premier League games. Nottingham Forest, one of the best away records in the Premier League though. Although have lost 5 of their 15 away games this season, but won 8 of them. Contrastingly, as a Yari's ball. Fizz round the back post, the header from Van Hecke. Comes off the back of the head of Ryan Yates. It will be a corner to Brighton. Head and hands moment there for Van Hecke. If he hadn't have headed it right onto the back of Yates' head, that was going towards goal, and it would have been a really good chance. That's just gone for a corner. No doubting the fact there are certainly an uptick in quality from both teams from first to second half. Here's Estupiñán to take this corner. Fizz with the left foot across the goal. Oh, and the header is straight wide by Jack Hinchelwood. That looked like it was going to nestle in the far corner. Again, Hinchelwood breaks away from his man, and he just pops up at the back post. It's all the way through, and he just pops up at the last second, and he just guides it wide of the far post. That's a massive chance for Jack Hinshelwood, not taken. He will be kicking himself because he had a clean header at it, free header, and all he had to do was guide it towards goal. I mean, easier said than done, let's be real. I've never done it, so I can't really stake a claim. But I'm sure Jack Hinshelwood will be kicking himself because he knew he was capable. And Brighton maybe starting to take a little bit more control of the game in the last minute or so. In the last number of minutes. The game being more open probably suits them as well as it does Forest. I think they were a bit too slow. A lovely little one-touch football. Oh, goodness me, it just evaded the man at the back post there. Nico Williams got it away from danger. Gotta see that again. It's lovely one-touch combinations at the edge of the box. And as the ball fed through, it didn't find its way to Mitoma all the way through, and Nico Williams had to clear it away at the back post. Brighton are really on top here at the minute. Aina scrambling, not getting a foul. Kept in there by Webster. Now Van Hecke. Can they make this momentum count at the moment, Brighton? Still goalless. 58 minutes on the clock. A long way to go. Here's Baleba on the spin. Out wide it goes to Kaoru Mitoma. Steps inside. Drives across. Just gonna see it out to the right hand side for Minta. Minta's cross into the box and cleared away by Milenkovic. Kept alive by Baleba, who chests it down to Estepinian. But the referee is going to say it was handball against Carlos Baleba. It's going to be a stoppage here anyway for substitutions for Nottingham Forest. See it again. Kind of just comes off his chest, but it hits there on his upper arm and guides it towards the other Brighton player. It is a foul, or it is a handball. Changes in coming then for Nottingham Forest. Looks like Anthony Alanga is going to be one of those. It's going to be coming on. They do have a break in play. Of course, those players that are, of course, observing Ramadan at the moment. A number of those players. So we do have a stoppage in play to allow those players to have something to eat and something to drink. Of course, the fasting of Ramadan doesn't allow that during daylight hours. But now that the sun has gone down, they can break their fast. And we do have that break in play at the moment. It gives me time to update you from around the grounds then. And I can tell you that nothing has changed. A whole load of nothing. Juventus won up against Genoa. Still around 15 minutes to go in that game. Frankfurt and Stuttgart is goalless at half-time. Second half just underway in the Irish Cup semi-final. Still Dungannon Swifts who lead by a 0-0 against Bangor. Dundee still 2-1 up against Rangers. That's at half-time. And in the first half it's Saint Etienne 1, PSG 0. At the moment. 60 minutes gone here. At the Amex. Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. They've gone all the way to penalties, Nottingham Forest, in the last 2 rounds. Against Exeter and against Ipswich. And they're edging closer to maybe going all the distance again, but still a half an hour to go. As Forest are going to make a double substitution here. It's going to see Callum Hudson-Odoi and Anthony Alanga come onto the field. Anthony Alanga involved in Sweden's massive win over Northern Ireland in the international break. Anthony Alanga there, the Swedish international, alongside Callum Hudson-Odoi, who's also coming on. So some attacking changes there for Nottingham Forest. It looked like Taiwo Awoniyi was one of those going off. The other I am not too certain of at the moment. I'll tell you in a moment. So a double change for Forest to try and change their fortunes in this game. At the minute, we would be heading to extra time. This was a long ball sent forward by Sells. Battling there was Gibbs-White. Dominguez brought down. And goes straight down, and he's going to get the foul. Estupiñán is the one that's committed the challenge, and he's going to get a yellow card, I believe, for that challenge on Nicolas Dominguez. He's claiming his innocence. The referee's got the card out already, and is just ready to show it to Pervis Estupiñán. See this again. Yeah, it's just a really poor challenge. Yeah, there's a little bit of a slip from Estupiñán, which might show a little bit of sympathy for him, but it's certainly a foul, and it's a yellow card. Very much so a yellow, and first yellow of the game. First yellow card. Anthony Elanga, the substitute for Forest, will take this free kick. The far right side. As the referee sorts up the 10-yard line away from the free kick for Kaoru Mitoma in the one-man wall. That's 10 yards away from Anthony Elanga, and then the mix of bodies in the area for Brighton and for Forest to try and get the first contact on this delivery. If he gets a good whip on this, Elanga could be a major threat. Let's see what he can do. Anthony Elanga, right-footed, it's deep. Oh, flicked away from Verbruggen, but he just grappled it. Oh, it's still alive in the box. Yates goes down. No penalty, said the referee. Forest still on the attack here. Anderson dribbles his way into the box. Elliot Anderson goes down now. And he is now going to give a penalty, the referee. The second penalty call from Nottingham Forest in a matter of seconds. The first one wasn't, the second one was. And it's caused a real uproar from the Brighton players. They're adamant that neither were penalties. We'll see it again. Fabulous little footwork from Elliot Anderson. And it's Kaoru Mitoma with a challenge in the box. Oh, I gotta say, Mitoma makes no contact with the ball whatsoever. And he just kind of catches the stray leg. It's very close. There's very little in it. I don't think VAR will overturn it. Of course, VAR is in action. But he had to think about it, Peter Banks. And who knows, maybe the first penalty call could have affected his judgment. I mean, I'm not saying that it did, because that would be kind of unfair to Brighton. But in my opinion, yeah, it looks soft, but Mitoma's coming sliding in, and if you go sliding in the box and get any sort of contact, you always give the referee a question to answer. Mitoma claiming his innocence, but his innocence was gone. Although, hold on a second, VAR is recommending an on-field review. There's an on-field review here. Kaoru Mitoma claiming his innocence. In my opinion, you always give the referee a question to answer. Now, whether it's a penalty or not, I don't think it's a penalty. I don't think it's fair to give a penalty there. I think it's a stray arm. There's very little in it. It's really unfortunate from Kaoru Mitoma. He got minimal contact with Elliot Anderson, and Anderson was always going to go down any sort of contact. I think it's slightly harsh on Kaoru Mitoma, and that's why the VAR has called Peter Banks to the screen. He's wagging his finger in disagreement with the decision at the minute, Kaoru Mitoma, but the referee's looking at it, and we'll see what Peter Banks is going to do here. He gave the penalty on field, and is going to announce to the stadium what his decision is. I can relay that message. After review, there is no foul committed by the defender, and the decision will be a drop ball. So no penalty for Nottingham Forest, and I think that's the right decision. In my personal opinion, it's not a penalty, but as I said, when you go sliding into the box and commit even the slightest bit of contact, you always give the referee a question to answer. And the crowd, the Nottingham Forest fans, are not happy that it wasn't given now, because they've just seen a replay on the screen. I don't know if that should be happening, but no penalty. Nuno Espirito Santo's absolutely incessant with the fourth official. because they've just seen the replay on the screen. I don't think it's a penalty. It's not been given, obviously. It's been overturned. So it is no penalty. And Forest will argue it till night comes day. But honestly, I think that's a really strong decision and really good use of VAR, in my opinion. Because when you think about it, the referee wasn't completely sure himself. He had to think about it. Had a couple of seconds to think about the decision. Yeah, we see the first call for a penalty is definitely not a penalty. Nothing in that. And then the second one, which was given on field after a little bit of a think from Peter Banks, I think he overthought it, the referee, and it's a good use of VAR. He got it wrong, he had a look, he reviewed his decision, and in my opinion, it's not a penalty. It would be incredibly harsh on Kaoru Mitoma for that to be a penalty, because it's just his arm, which he needs to use to stay up. If he's sliding in, he's just not going to go sliding in like a salmon with his arms in the air, kind of like a slip and slide. He's going to have his arms to hold his balance, and his arm just slightly nicks Elliot Anderson, which sends Elliot Anderson to the ground. And I think he was always going to go down with any sort of contact, especially after the first penalty call. And in the end, I think VAR have done really good there, calling for an on-field review. And the referee, in my opinion, getting the right decision in the end. And I think many people would say that. Many neutrals would say that as well, because that would be a very harsh penalty to give. It would be very, very harsh. I'm sure the biggest arguers to the claim of no penalty will, of course, be the Nottingham Forest fans who, when it was audible booing, it was audible like disgruntlement from the away fans. Whenever the replay was played in the screen in the stadium, there was a real audible disgruntlement from the away crowd that that penalty was not given. Now, of course, that will always be the case. They don't get a penalty, whether they think it was or not. They're always going to be biased towards their own team, obviously. But, yeah, it's not a penalty. And the referee did very well there, Peter Banks. Did very well at announcing it too. That's still relatively new for the officials in the Premier League and in English football now. Announcing decisions when they're given to make it more clear to the fans what the decisions are and what comes of it. Oh, ball over the top there. Oh, just ahead of Hudson-Odoi in the box there. And it got away from him. Again, Forest, I would say, in this second half, have probably been second best. And Brighton, the 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes to go, they're the side in the ascendancy again. And they're the side that, at the minute, look the more likely to get a goal from open play. Here they come now. Minta with the ball into the box. Way by Aina, not convincing. Oh. Almost finds its way back to Minta. Now it does. Up against Williams. Spins Nico Williams. Minta into the box. Yankuba Minta battling. And there's going to be a free kick there as he tried to win the ball back off Elliot Anderson. It is a foul. Free kick to Nottingham Forest. And it looks like Brighton are going to be making a change in a moment. João Pedro and Simon Adingra look like they're going to be entering the fray very shortly in blue and white. I can tell you, PSG have equalised against Saint Etienne in that first half. Gonzalo Ramos from the penalty spot has levelled for the French champions and the French league leaders in that one in Ligue 1. It's 1-1. Still the same elsewhere in all of those other games. Still 2-1 to Dundee, still 1-0 to Juventus, and still goalless between Frankfurt and Stuttgart, and Dungannon leading Bangor by a goal to 0. Changes then for Brighton. João Pedro's going to be coming onto the fields. He's going to replace Danny Welbeck. So a straight swap up front, and the captain's armband will be given to Adam Webster. And Simon Adingra is going to be replacing Kaoru Mitoma. So Mitoma and Welbeck off, and Pedro and Adingra on for Brighton. So Forest made an attacking double change around about 10 minutes ago. And Brighton are going to follow suit with a double attacking change of their own. 10 with 20 minutes to go of this game. At least, anyway. At the minute, we're heading for another 30 on top. Although, I'd much rather not. I've got to be honest. I've said it many a time. I just have no time for extra time. I just have no patience for it anymore. It's just such a really bad version. An awful 30 minutes. Here's Gibbs White trying to deny extra time. Oh! All the way through. Verbruggen had to make a save there. It was Anthony Alanga made the run in behind. Lovely little ball. Elliot Anderson plays it on to Gibbs White. Gibbs White strides forward, and Alanga times his run to perfection in between the Brighton centre backs and Van Hecke and Webster. And as he gets him behind, he tries to tap it round Verbruggen, who makes a good save to put it wide for the corner. Forest coming close there. Now they have a corner. However, Jorginho Ruter is down for Brighton, which is not a good sign. See that chance again. It might have been just as Elliot Anderson played that ball. Ruter, oh actually no, he just went sliding on the turf. Maybe got his studs caught in the turf there and went over on his ankle maybe. Jorginho Ruter pulled a muscle of some sort, but he's not in a good way at the minute. So we do have that stoppage for the moment. A reminder for you that tomorrow's FA Cup quarter-final sees Bournemouth take on Manchester City. Man City, the only team in our quarter-finalists that have won this competition in the 21st century. Since 2000, Bournemouth have never won it, and they look to try and get their first visit to Wembley tomorrow at 4:30. That game gets underway. In that one, we'll find out the semi-finalists as well tomorrow. The semi-final draw for you tomorrow evening. As Ruter helped back to his feet by the physios. Whether they're eyeing up a change here at the minute, Brighton, I'm still awaiting to find out. We'll see if he will. There, Fabian Hürzeler. The Forest fans are really having a good time singing behind that goal. They're trying to get their team really up for these final 15 minutes as Jorginho Ruter is applauded off the field by the Brighton crowd. He's just going to be hobbling off here. It's going to be the end of his day. He's pulled something. It seems like a muscular issue, which is more of a concern for Jorginho Ruter. And he's in real pain. He's almost in tears, Ruter, as he will leave the field here. And it will be Brian Gruda that's going to replace him. He's had his injury problems already this season and last. Gruda. And now on for the final 15 minutes. Alanga to take this corner for Forest. Right-footed. Deep to the back post. Oh, Anderson was there, but he couldn't get his head to it. And it goes behind for a goal kick. $15 minutes to go then in this one, at least anyway. Remember, if the game is level after 90 minutes, extra time will be needed. And then if it's level after 120 minutes, penalties will be needed to decide a winner between these two. Let's hope we don't go that far. Although it's not uncommon territory for Nottingham Forest. As I said, they have gone to extra time and penalties in each of their last two FA Cup ties against Exeter and against Ipswich, winning on both obviously. And now here they come to try and avoid that again. Here is Anthony Alanga breaking into the box, squares it across. Oh, just ahead of the on-running, I think it's Gibbs White, who's took a real clattering off the post there as he tried to slide into the box. He took a real whack off the post. See that again. Ball down the left side by Hudson-Odoi. Alanga made the run in behind, and as he got into the box, he tried to square it across the 6-yard box for Morgan Gibbs White, who was charging in and slid in, and the momentum just carried Gibbs White into the right post. with his right leg there, and that's a painful one, but just a yard or two behind the ball. Gibbs White. Otherwise, that would have been a tap-in. He's up and fine, Gibbs White, but certainly not in no pain. Certainly will be in pain after that one. Oh, that's a foul there by João Pedro on Milenkovic. It's a free kick to Nottingham Forest. Well, we've seen a bit more of expected in the second half. We've actually seen what we've more expected of these two teams. In the first half, Forest had a lot more of the ball, and it really kind of disjointed the whole game because neither team were really playing to their game plan. Brighton weren't keeping the ball well enough. Forest were keeping it more than they usually do, and it just upset both teams. In the second half, Brighton have had a lot more of the ball, Forest have had a lot less of the possession, and strangely, that's contrastingly led to both teams actually looking much more efficient in the final third and having more of a threat. It's a nice challenge by Elliot Anderson there, and a nice ball down the right hand side for Elanga again. This time up against Webster, skips his way through but gets the ball caught under his feet, and it goes for a goal kick. Adam Webster did enough to put off the Swede there, to put it for a goal kick. Well, Anthony Elanga certainly added a lot of quality in the final third for Forest. He seems to be the real outlet at the minute. With him getting forward, he's made a number of runs in behind the Brighton defence, and it's causing issues, and it's certainly giving Nottingham Forest that spark that can get them forward. Here's Pedro for Brighton, trying to do the same for his team. That time a misplaced pass, just given away to Nico Williams. He gives it right back to Pedro. Now Gruda under pressure, and the ball goes out of play for a Nottingham Forest throw off the Brighton substitute there. Unless we get a moment of magic or a real awful mistake, it doesn't look like either of these two teams are able to break the other one down. And it just means it might be that moment of magic or a real horrible mistake from one team to try and win it. Or the inevitable of extra time, which looks to be inevitable at the minute. Oh, here come Brighton. Again, the ball by Gruda right into the Forest defender in Murillo that time, and the clearance far and long into the Brighton half again. Just over 10 minutes to go. Again, it's on a knife edge, I would have to say. Both sides battling well. And it's anybody's guess as to what way this game will end up. As Brighton want to make another change then. This will be their fourth change of the game, but on the third occasion, so this will be their final sub at least until extra time possibly. And it's going to see Yasin Ayari make way for Diego Gomez, the Paraguayan, the 22-year-old Paraguayan. Joined Brighton in the January window for £10.9 million from Inter Miami. And the midfielder on to replace Yasin Ayari there. As Yates goes down under a challenge and wins the free kick on the edge of the box there for Nottingham Forest. On the edge of their own box, shall I say. Let's have a look, another look round the grounds. It is still, it's just finished actually, between Juventus and Genoa. Juventus seeing out a 1-0 victory as their chase for Champions League football continues in Serie A. They're in 5th at the moment, just a spot behind Bologna, a point behind Bologna in the Serie A table after beating Genoa by a goal to nil. It's still 0-0 between Frankfurt and Stuttgart, but Stuttgart down to 10 now in the second half, so advantage Eintracht Frankfurt. It's still Dungannon 1, Bangor 0 in that Irish Cup semi-final, and Bangor maybe having one or two chances of their own, but nothing to show for it yet. It's Dundee have added a third to their lead now against Rangers. It's 3-1. Scott Tiffany with that third goal that gives them a 2-goal advantage again. And at half-time in Ligue 1, it is Saint-Etienne 1, PSG 1. At the break, so that's where we stand in all of those games around the grounds. With a number of minutes to go of the normal time here. That's a swiping challenge, that from Ryan Yates. Certainly a foul on Simon Adingra, which the crowd are cheering that they feel the referee's given them a rare free kick. Yeah, it's definitely a foul. There's no doubt about that. Simon Adingra taken out there by Ryan Yates. Definitely a foul. Again, Brighton, there was a stat I read before the game. They've actually progressed from their past 2 quarter-final ties in the FA Cup. They defeated Millwall on penalties in the 2018-19 season in the FA Cup before they hammered Grimsby in the 22-23 quarter-finals 5-0. So they have progressed in the previous 2 FA Cup quarter-final ties they've been involved in. Brighton, very different opposition for them this evening. Since the start of last season, since the start of the 22-23 season, Brighton are only pipped by to goals, have scored the most goals, the third most goals. Only Man City and Man United have scored more goals in this competition than Brighton in that run since the start of 22-23 season in the FA Cup. They've racked up 30 goals in their last 11 FA Cup ties, Brighton. Although that's a bit misleading. That would average about just under 3 goals per game in their FA Cup ties. Where did that stat go this evening? It's 0-0 with 6.5 minutes of the 90 to go. Well, quite contrastingly, Nottingham Forest have lost their last 3 quarter-final ties in the FA Cup, all by a 1-0 scoreline, which is realistic. They could do that for a 4th successive time here this evening, if Brighton can edge a late goal. And they've not reached the semi-finals of this competition, Forest, since 1991. And they went on to make the final that year, but were ultimately beaten by Tottenham in the final in the Wembley showpiece on that day around, which is certainly not nice reading for Forest fans that they haven't been to an FA Cup semi-final since 1991. Although if they do get there, they will fancy their chances that good omens will come their way and they will probably get to the final this season. But a lot of closely contested FA Cup quarter-finals. You probably expect Aston Villa to see their way past Preston, although nothing's a given tomorrow. And then who knows who's going to win in between Bournemouth and Man City tomorrow. Bournemouth already beaten Man City this season, but City on a bit of a high recently. You have no idea who's going to win that one. Well, Brighton want to try and win this one. Here's Adingra down the right-hand side here. Pedro through the lines, ball into the box here. Gruda trying to cut it back, laid off. It's a real scramble as it's cleared away by Forest in the end. And now Alanga has a bit of a chase on, but he's well beaten to it there by Webster. Apologies. It's do or die time. Here's Estupinian. Now Gomez trying to feed it through, well blocked. And Aina under pressure from Adingra here. And he looks calm. Ola Aina. And wins a goal kick. Of course, both sides went to extra time in around 5 games. Brighton won in extra time. Forest needed penalties to get through from round 5. Brighton overseeing Newcastle in extra time. Danny Welbeck's winner. I won't be doing that again this evening, of course. He's off the field now, Danny Welbeck. And obviously, as I said, Forest needed penalties to get past Ipswich in round 5. And winning their penalty shootout by 5 penalties to 4, scoring all of their 5 penalties. Wood, Gibbs-White, Anderson, Williams and Hudson-Odoi all scoring their respective penalties. It was the 10th penalty of the shootout that was missed by Taylor, Jack Taylor, that knocked out Ipswich. It was saved by Matt Sells on that day, that sent Forest through to these quarterfinals. And they might have to rely upon that extra time and penalty knowledge and experience they've both garnered over the FA Cup campaign this season if they don't find a winner in the next couple of minutes. Again, no room through there for young Kubaminte. It was blocked off, and ball comes all the way back here to Matt Sells. Has to fire it long. 3 minutes of normal time to go. A header won there by Gibbs-White, but he was holding Estupiñán in the process. It's a free kick, and actually Nicolas Dominguez was the one that was deemed to have committed the foul, and he's going to get a yellow card for dissent there. Yeah, the referee, I mean, he was always going to give a yellow card for that. I mean, just no need from Nicolas Dominguez. A bit of frustration, but it's just dissent. I mean, you're always going to get a yellow card for that. Of which he does. Forest taking no risks there. Milenkovic just put the ball out of play for a throw-in. Brighton maybe having the momentum of the last number of minutes. Here's Van Hecke. Hinshelwood. Minta. Infield to João Pedro. Back out wide to young Kubaminte. Now Pedro again. Oh, he's caught there in possession. Nicely won. Now Murillo. And he's breaking away here, Murillo, getting forward. Gibbs-White couldn't keep the ball though. And now Brighton might have the advantage as they tried forward here. Minta down the right hand side. Minta leaves it on the overlap for Pedro. João Pedro at the byline trying to wrestle something, but Nico Williams wins the ball back. Does well, finds Anderson. It's cleared long. Kept alive by Hudson-Odoi, who does well and gives it back to his goalkeeper. As we are about to enter the final minute of the 90 here. Brighton 0, Nottingham Forest 0. 1 minute to go of the normal time. Are we heading to extra time in this one? Or will there be some late magic to decide the tie one way or another? Here's Hudson-Odoi. Edge of the box, Callum Hudson-Odoi had the shot, well charged down. Easily charged down at the edge of the box. Yates. Aina. Yates again. Aina again. Looking for options. Brighton. Everybody behind the ball at the minute. Oh, that's really sloppy from Morgan Gibbs-White. The ball out wide to him. All he had to do was control it, and it rolled under his foot and went out for a Brighton throw-in. It's those types of mistakes you can't afford to make in these tight games. That's the difference, as we will have 8 minutes of added time. 8 added minutes. Is there enough in either of these two teams to use that 8 minutes to their advantage and try and find a winner? There's more than enough time for it. But is there the desire, the quality in these two teams to get it? As Forest get a free kick here. Elliot Anderson brought down. Yeah, it's smart from Anderson. Takes the step away from Diego Gomez. And it's certainly a foul. Late lunge there by Gomez, and Elliot Anderson, smart, winning a free kick for Nottingham Forest. In a very good area indeed. Can they make the most of it? Gibbs-White, Alanga and Anderson all over it here. It's in line with the cut of the grass of about 30 yards away from goal. Far left side, rolled into play by Gibbs-White. Flicked into the box by Alanga, back post. Oh, Murillo couldn't get the pace behind it. And an easy catch for Verbruggen, who kicks it long. But again, comes to nothing, that long kick as Aina clears it away. And the ball cleared by Aina comes all the way back to Bart Verbruggen. That was a chance for Murillo at the back post. If he got a clean connection on it, would have been a really good opportunity. He just kind of sliced it, and it bounced up into the hands of Bart Verbruggen. Lovely little control of the ball by Baleba there. Lovely little link up. Here's João Pedro, edge of the box, trying to eke a bit of space. They're closed down again. It's going to be a free kick to Forest again. Dominguez fouled by Adingra. And the referee has to just calm a few unsettled nerves at the minute from both players. Both sets of players, shall I say. You'll see this again. Yeah, it's certainly a foul. No doubt about that. Yeah, it's certainly not anything undue from the referee there. Certainly a foul. Long ball by Sells. Out to the left channel for Hudson-Odoi. He's holding off Minton now. Lovely little hold up. Gibbs White finds Anderson. Couldn't squeeze it through. We'll get it back though. Goes wide to Hudson-Odoi. 3 of the 8 added minutes played. Hudson-Odoi striding to the edge. Shocked from Williams, I think that was. It was Nico Williams that had the shot. Well charged down again. It's Forest in the ascendancy at the minute. Here's Aina dribbling his way through 1 or 2. Still has the ball, Ola Aina. Here he comes down the right side. Dominguez now. Dominguez feeds it through. Aina in the box. Miscues it. Header across goal. Cleared away from Gibbs White there. And Williams keeps it alive with a fizz ball. But no one in there to meet it. And all the way through it out the other end. That was some moment for Nottingham Forest. Again, Ola Aina with fabulous individual movement. Beats 2 or 3. Lays the ball off wide to Dominguez. And he just makes the inside run. Round the back of the defender. Gets to the byline. Cuts it back. And Gibbs White's header, from a good distance out from the penalty spot, probably needed a little bit more pace. And cleared away off the line. But Nottingham Forest with a massive moment there and a very close moment to try and find the lead. There's a player down here for Brighton. Is it Adam Webster? It looks like it is that's down. Well, one look to the bench. Lewis Dunk is on the bench for Brighton. He has been out injured for the vast majority of 2025 so far, Lewis Dunk. His last game actually came in that... his last game involved was against Chelsea in the FA Cup. His last Premier League game was against Nottingham Forest in that 7-0 defeat. He actually scored the first goal, which was an own goal from Lewis Dunk to give Forest the lead on that day. That was his last Premier League involvement for Brighton. Whether he will be called upon in the latter stages here, we'll still have to wait and see. 3 of the 8 added minutes remain. And it is still 0-0. And Adam Webster still getting treatment. Right, Juventus, 1-0 winners earlier. It's 1-0 to Frankfurt against 10-man Stuttgart. Mario Götze still going at the top level there for Frankfurt. 1-0 there. 2-0 now to Dungannon Swifts. It was Dean Curry literally a minute or so ago, and Dungannon have doubled their lead and they're heading to Windsor Park, and it looks like it'll be an all-Premiership Irish Cup final. Cliftonville Dungannon, it looks like, unless Bangor can grapple something late in that one. It's 3-2 between Dundee and Rangers. Rangers have got one back. James Tavernier with the second goal for Rangers. It's 3-2 in that one to Dundee, and still 1-1 between Saint Etienne and PSG. We're still delayed here. Adam Webster is still down, so surely he'll have to come off. If he's down for this long, well, he's back to his feet now, and he will be trotting off the field. But they actually can't make a substitution. I forgot about that. They've used all their sub windows. So they either have to play with 10 men for the final 2 minutes until they get an extra time substitution, or Adam Webster continues, because I forgot that Brighton had used all their substitution windows. They've only made 4 subs, but they've used them on 3 different occasions, which is the limit in normal time. They will get an extra substitute for extra time, so they could change him if they get to extra time, which is a minute or 2 away on the clock, probably more than that. But at the minute, they're going to play with 10, are Brighton. And now that will be another big advantage for Forest, because here they come now. Gibbs-White charging. Stopped in his tracks there by a Dinker, I believe that was. Getting deep and back. They help out. This is a moment now for Forest. They've against 10 men. They're in the ascendancy. They've got the momentum. And they've got probably a couple of minutes to try and battle, as Adam Webster does return to the field of play. So he is back on the field. So it's 11 v 11 again. Yates, Murillo through the lines. Elliot Anderson on the turn, couldn't find the ball forward as Adingra tried to get forward. Yates with the challenge. Fairly won, said the referee. Aina down the right side to Dominguez. Nicolas Dominguez. Has he got an option here? He's driven to the corner flag. Will try and dart it into Alanga, linking up well. Dominguez again. Brought down by Yates, who shot well over the bar. Scored the equaliser against Ipswich in the round 5 there. Thought he'd actually scored 2 on that day, did Ryan Yates, and he came very close to getting a goal there for Nottingham Forest. A shot over the bar. Looks like we're heading for extra time. The original 8 allocated minutes are up, but of course we had that stoppage for Adam Webster's injury, so we might have another minute or 2 at least to play here. According to the referee, it's up to his decision now before possible extra time will be needed to decide a winner. Verbruggen with a long clearance. Header won by Williams. There's a lot more determination from Nottingham Forest rather than Brighton to try and win this in normal time. I think they don't want to go for a 3rd successive extra time in the FA Cup this season, albeit 3 of their last 5 FA Cup ties have ended in penalty shootouts. Nottingham Forest, so if it does go that length, surely they will feel it's a good omen for them. And they've progressed from their last 2 penalty shootouts in round 4 and round 5. They want to try and win this one before we get anywhere near that. Here is Hudson-Odoi. Charged down again there. It was Gibbs-White actually. Got mixed in my double barrel names there. Still going in the 100th minute. Ball over the top. Through to Gibbs-White. Too much on it. Goal kick. That might be that. It might be. We'll see what comes of this goal kick from the referee. Whether he does blow the whistle. We're over 100 minutes now. Verbruggen will take this goal kick and that might end normal time. No, it doesn't. They're still playing. Still we play on. Bouncing ball here. Might cause a threat. Brighton might be in. Oh, cleared away by Murillo. That was a dangerous moment for Forest at the back. Is right up the other end now. Alanga trying to battle, but hoofed away by Carlos Baleba. Still we play on. 101st minute. Aina trying to chest it down, bring it down, lets it go for the throw-in. Is there one more chance for either of these 2 teams to try and win it in normal time? Here's Elliot Anderson. They have to get the ball forward quickly. There's surely not much time left. Nico Williams. Hudson-Odoi couldn't quite get to the ball. And that is that. Normal time done. 101 minutes played. And we will have another 30 to come your way of 2 periods, 2 halves of extra time to come. Brighton progressed from extra time in round 5. Forest have progressed on penalties in their last 2 rounds in the FA Cup. Surely it was written in the stars it was going to end this way. After 90 minutes, or well, 101 minutes, it's finished Brighton 0, Forest 0. Extra time on the way very shortly. Do stay with us. Welcome back to FA Cup Live. Extra time on the way then. Needed to decide the winner here between Nottingham Forest and Brighton at the Amex Stadium here this evening to see who will be joining Crystal Palace in the semi-finals. We will find out very, very shortly. Well, actually, not very, very shortly. In 30 minutes' time at the very least, because we've extra time to play. Of course, 2 15-minute halves of extra time to try and decide a winner. The Newcastle celebrations have now are continuing, but we can't show you the pictures because it's basically the feed is just showing you a photo of someone singing, so we don't actually have the feed anymore. But congratulations to Newcastle for winning the Carabao Cup, and we hope they enjoy their Saturday night celebrations. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they don't need my my words to try and inspire them to enjoy their evening. Certainly. Anyway, we're almost ready to go for extra time, and just as I suspected, with that extra time substitute being available now to Brighton, they're going to make that their own right away, and it's going to see Lewis Dunk replace Adam Webster, so a straight swap at centre back for Brighton. I expected that to be the case. They really needed that substitution. They really did, and it looks like Adam Webster wasn't able to continue. We can update you from around the grounds. Still all the same, I believe. No, Rangers have got an equaliser. It's 3-3. Tom Lawrence with an 81st minute equaliser. Dundee 3, Rangers 3. What a game that is. And PSG have cruised into a 3-1 lead at the start of the second half. Vika Kvaratskhelia and Desiree Doué with goals to start the second half there. PSG 3-1 up against Saint Etienne. After being 1-0 down, it's 3-1 to Paris Saint-Germain at the moment. Right, here we go. Extra time on the way. As I said, Brighton needed extra time to see off Chelsea in Newcastle, apologies, in round 5. They knocked out Chelsea here in round 4. Brighton, their only home FA Cup tie this season. They've won all of their 3 without needing penalties. But Forest have won their last 2 FA Cup ties from penalty shootouts. So it's an untested battle so far this campaign for Brighton. Although we're meant to get extra time underway. Don't know what's happening, what's delaying it. And there's an issue with the communication of the referee here, so fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Perfect time for it. Right, So not only does extra time delay us another 30 minutes, another wasteful 30 minutes of football, but also we have to wait now on the referee getting a battery pack working. Fantastic. Lovely. After 101 minutes of play. Has he got it fixed? He can hear them now. Fantastic. Absolutely amazing. What a pointless 30 seconds of a delay that was. I mean, it's turn it off and on again. It will work. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated as we ready for extra time here in the FA Cup quarter-final. A place at Wembley awaits one of these two teams. Can they battle it out and win it in extra time to separate them and get into the final four? Brighton in the final four in 2023. Forest haven't been in a semi-final of the FA Cup since 1991. It's anybody's guess as to who will win this game. It's been so evenly matched, really, over the course of the 90 minutes. It was Forest that had the better of it in the first half. It's probably Brighton that were the better in the second half, narrowly, but I think Forest actually ended the half better of the two teams, the end of the second half, and probably should have got a winning goal, but they didn't. And again, we enter extra time to try and separate these two teams, but more often than not, extra time doesn't separate the two teams, albeit Brighton are a prime example that that argument is not always the case, because they did it in round 5, knocking out Newcastle in extra time, or after extra time, with Danny Welbeck's winner in 114th minute. So it can be done. It doesn't happen very often, though. And if Brighton are to progress in the same way, with Danny Welbeck now not on the field, one man you would probably highlight to be a real game changer for them is João Pedro, of course. Will be the real danger man for his Fabian Hürzeler's team in extra time, because he's registered 7 goal involvements in his past 4 starts in the FA Cup, scored 6 goals and assisted 1 in his last 4 FA Cup games. Of course, hasn't started this afternoon, but 7 goal involvements in his last 4 starts in the FA Cup. That's some goal. That's some goal return in the FA Cup. So if there is a game changer for Brighton, it more than likely would be him in this extra time. Well, the miss of Chris Wood today, it is evident at times from Forest, albeit I would say more evident in the first half than the second half, really, because I think they did pretty well in the second half at Nottingham Forest to attack without that attacking presence. I think when a 1-0 went off, it didn't really hamper them in a major way. I think it brought the fresh legs of Elanga on, which added a little bit of a difference to their attacking approach, rather than trying to target the centre forward. Oh, here's a chance for Brighton into the box. Lovely little jink. Oh, good challenge. And Milenkovic clears it away. That was a decent opportunity. If I could get a replay of it, it's Dominguez that got the block. I think it was Diego Gomez that was involved. See this one again. It's played down the left side. Lovely through ball by Estupiñán, I believe it was. Diego Gomez battling in the box. Gets beaten to it by Dominguez, and then Milenkovic clears it away and cleans it from danger. But that was a decent opportunity there for Brighton. Didn't get the shot off, but in the right area at the right time. We can confirm for you, Dungannon Swifts are into the Irish Cup final. Will face Cliftonville after knocking out Bangor by 2-0 in that one. So both championship sides in Ards and Bangor knocked out at the semi-final stage of the Irish Cup, and holders Cliftonville will take on Dungannon Swifts in the final. And we will more than likely have that game live here on LFS come that time. We'll see what our schedule looks like, and we'll let you know closer to the time. Of course, the start of May usually, the Irish Cup final. And here it's two teams battling in extra time for a place in a FA Cup semi-final. which will take place at the end of next month. That's lovely combination play. Lovely from Alanga to drop a bit deeper. And here's Gibbs-White. Feeds it wide here to Hudson-Odoi. Callum Hudson-Odoi in the box. Can he find a pass? Crowded out. Cuts it back to Dominguez sliding. Couldn't get the shot off cleanly. Yates keeps it alive. Now wide to Gibbs-White. Body's in the box. Can he find one? Has to cut it back. Ina's delivery. Flicked on by Yates, but over the head of everyone in there in Forest red. And Forest will get the throw because it took it a deflection on the way through. So it will be a throw in to Nottingham Forest on this side. And this near side is Jota Silva is going to be coming on. And he's going to replace Nicolas Dominguez. So Silva on, Dominguez off. Change in the system there for Nuno Espirito Santo. Looking to try and add something different, an extra attacking force. An extra attacking player, really, just an extra attacking body. And some fresh legs for extra time. Of course, both sides get extra kind of substitutions in extra time, of course. All along with the ones you haven't used from normal time. So Forest already had 3 subs with 1 opportunity to use them. They now had 4 subs with 2, so they're now back to 3 with 1. So they can make 3 more subs with 1 opportunity to do that. But I doubt they will. As the long throw from Williams into the box, headed away. Cleared for the second time by Estupiñán, but not cleanly. As it's now away from danger. And Murillo will just see that back to his goalkeeper, and Matt Sells, who hoofs it long. Over the top, there's bodies forward here for Forest again. Anderson and Hudson-Odoi. Hudson-Odoi gets it. Now finds Williams. Williams on the edge of the box. Couldn't give it away. Does Gibbs-White now. And now Brighton want a counter. And that's a cynical challenge by Ryan Yates. He's going to get himself a yellow card. That's really cynical. Really, really cynical. But of course, he's always going to do that. Take one for the team. Ryan Yates, and it is a yellow card. Yeah, he just comes right through the back of Brian Gruder. Certainly a foul, no doubt about that. No doubt about that whatsoever. I mean, even if he wasn't kind of stopping a promising attack, it certainly was a foul. No question. Free kick here for Brighton then. Van Hecke. First time ball into Gruder's path. Lays it off now to Minter. Minter back to Gruder. Gruder lining one up here. Can he find a chance? Gets the ball into the box. The shot charged down. Now Estupiñán feeds it wide. A dinger with a cross. Back post. Minter was lurking, but the cross by a dinger was too deep. And goes behind for the goal kick. There is promise in both teams here in this extra time, but again, just that lack of cutting edge has been kind of vacant all evening. And it doesn't look like it's going to show up late here. Just looks like it's going to continue to be vacant. And all it takes is one chance. And you can turn the table on its head. Pedro trying to flick it on there, but Ina in cover. Had that one under control. Van Hecke. Nice flick on by Gruder, but couldn't keep it, was Minter. Now Williams comes away with the ball and he tries to feed it in behind. Alanga gets the better of Van Hecke. Can he chop back onto his right? Blocked off. Hudson-Odoi gets it into the box as he goes away from the box now. Alanga chips one in. Oh, a bit of a clash of heads there. The referee has to stop the game. He has to, as Lewis Dunk went down there. He collided with his defender in Estupiñán as they both tried to clear away that Alanga cross. It's going to be a it's going to be a drop ball, I would say, for Forest. Yeah, it's a clash of heads there. Estupiñán and Dunk. Dunk got a clean whack. A real clean whack. He's up and it's fine, but that could have been much more damaging for Lewis Dunk. It's not a laughing matter, but could have been much more damaging for the Brighton defender. In the end it doesn't, and comes to nothing. It was actually Brighton that got the drop ball there, which in the end is probably fair enough because they did win the ball. So maybe they do deserve the drop ball in a sense. 10 minutes of the first 15 of extra time gone. 2/3 of the way through this first half of extra time, and it's still goalless. That's the ball out wide by Van Hecke. Couldn't bring it down. Gruder there. It just goes out of play for a throw. Well, Brighton have been in a final of the FA Cup before. They've never won the competition, but they've been in the FA Cup final before. They've only been in it once. And they lost in 1983. They lost that final. In the 1983 FA Cup final against Manchester United, it actually was 2-2. And then it went to a replay, 2-2 after extra time. Went to a replay, and Man United won 4-0 on the replay. So certainly nothing of a second replay needed. First one, a very close battle. Albeit the second one, certainly not. Forest have won this competition twice, of course. Albeit, been a long time since at that point. They've won it twice. 1959 was the last time they won the FA Cup, Nottingham Forest. 1959, if I had to do some quick maths, that's what, 60, 70 years? Just short of 70 years, 66 years since they last won the FA Cup. Did Nottingham Forest. They actually won their first FA Cup back in 1898. Nottingham Forest. A long, long time ago that. And they actually beat Luton Town in the 1959 FA Cup final by 2-1. And they beat Bolton Wanderers in the what was known as the round 6 back then, but arguably the quarter-finals. There is Nottingham Forest and Bolton. They won 2-1 in that round 6 game, and then beat Villa in the semis. Here come Brighton. Adingra, ball into the box. Header won by Aina, and he's actually gone down, so it will be a foul against Brighton. Ola Aina getting that free kick for Forest. I am on a bit of a ramble, but we may as well, you know. We may as well. As I was mentioning, Brighton's run to the final in 1983. If I can get that for you, that would be really nice. I don't think it'll let me. But 2-2 after extra time, and then went to a replay and absolutely got battered by Manchester United on that day. It's their only ever FA Cup final for Brighton. As I said, Forest haven't been in an FA Cup final since 1991. That was their last appearance in a final. It was actually the only final they've ever lost in the FA Cup. They've been in 3 finals in its history. Won 2 of them, lost 1. 1898, 1959, and then 1991. They've been in 3 finals, and they lost that 1991 final by to Tottenham after extra time. And their run to that final, I can tell you about. They went to 2 replays against Crystal Palace in round 3. They went to a replay against Newcastle in round 4. They went to a replay against Southampton in round 5. Beat Norwich away from home in the quarter-final, and then beat West Ham at Wembley 4-0 in the semi-final. On that occasion, en route to the final that year in 1991 Nottingham Forest. And that time, Gruda was coming forward for Brighton, down the right side, and got took out. Very strong challenge by Nico Williams, but a very clean one. It will be a Brighton corner as we edge closer to the end of the first half of extra time here. This is a big corner, big moment in the game. I think the only corner of extra time. Estupinan's fizz ball, back post. Van Hecke's header flicked on by Hinshelwood, but it's offside. It's going to be pulled back for a foul. In any case, and we will have 1 added minute at the end of the first half of extra time. 1 added minute. Nico Williams giving the ball away there cheaply. The ball in behind there for João Pedro to chase. He felt he was impeded on the way through. He felt he was fouled, but the referee saw no issue with it. That's a strong bit of defending from Murillo. It was strong defending, and it was confident defending from Murillo. It's not a foul. Brought down by Gibbs-White. Couldn't keep it though. Adingra. Forest running on steam a little bit in this bit of extra time at the moment. They're going to get a free kick here, Brighton. Gruda was brought down again. Just Forest clinging on a little bit. I think they need a little bit of a rest. I think they need half-time and extra time. They are struggling a little bit, Forest, to keep the ball. And Brighton having the better of it at the minute. On that occasion, they have 1 set piece to take before the half-time of extra time. Will be Estupiñán will take this free kick. Estupiñán fizzes it round the back post. The header flicked on, but well over the bar. And that is half-time and extra time. 15 down, 15 to go. And extra time edging ever closer to another possible penalty shootout for Nottingham Forest in this competition. Half-time and extra time, it's still 0-0. Join us for the second half of extra time in just a moment. Welcome back to FA Cup Live for this quarter-final tie between Brighton and Nottingham Forest. It's still 0-0 after 105 minutes of play. 90 minutes done and dusted. The first half of extra time done and dusted. And still neither side have scored a goal. We have 15 minutes to go before a seemingly inevitable penalty shootout. Just seems like these two could play to next week and still not find a way past each other. As João Pedro amps up the crowd inside the Amex to try and give his team and their team any sort of little advantage for the final 15 minutes of extra time. If you remember, they beat Newcastle in round 5 in the second half of extra time to get to the quarterfinals. They would love to replicate that story once again, Brighton, to head to Wembley for a semi-final in the FA Cup. A competition they have never won in their history. Van Hecke's long ball forward to get us underway. Minter brings it down nicely. On that right side, isolated a little bit. Here's Van Hecke, will go again with that ball. Williams getting the header, but brought down nicely by Minter again. Flag stayed down. Gives it back to Hinshelwood. Gruda, Van Hecke. Through the lines, Pedro. Joe Pedro's cross, blocked. In there by Yates, still alive for Brighton. A slight call for handball. Minter, Gruda. Ball in, cleared away by Murillo. Again, Brighton just continuing the momentum they had in the first half of extra time. They were the team on top. They were the team with a lot of the ball. They were the team pushing for the winner. And one of the biggest critiques of extra time, and I think it's very fair because I am an anti-extra time person, as the cross comes in. Oh, the shot! Oh, couldn't cleanly take it. Oh, wow. Goodness me, Diego Gomez again. Such a good chance. Brighton winning the ball back again. Forest gifting it back. Here comes Yankuba Minter. Blocked by Diego Gomez, that could try to get to the ball but ends up committing a foul that goes the other way. They take the free kick quickly and give it right back to Brighton again, Forest. They're all over the place at the minute. They're really hanging on, clinging on to anything they've got here at the minute, Forest. They're all over the place, really. Yankuba Minter's still down. Diego Gomez has now gone down as well. See his chance again, Diego Gomez. Lovely cross by Simon Adingra. It's hard to take from that back post, I gotta say, but he's slightly off balance, just slips. If he got a clean connection to that, that was surely going to be a massive chance and possibly a goal that would have made him the hero. But that chance not end up falling in the perfect way for him in the end, and another close call for Forest's point of view. We do have a bit of cramp delaying the players at the minute, so Yankuba Minter is massively suffering with cramp at the minute. Really struggling there. That's nice work from Diego Gomez. Van Hecke's ball. Chested down well by Simon Adingra. And now, in behind is Gruda. Gruda's chip ball back across in the header. Oh, what a save! What a save by Matt Sells. It's Diego Gomez again. How many chances does he want? That one was definitely his best. He did his best on that one. The keeper made a fantastic touch save from Matt Sells. Lovely cut back, lovely header. Fabulous save. Brighton are all over Nottingham Forest here. More than 10 minutes of extra time to go. They have a corner. Purvis Stupinian. Left-footed. Fizzed across the goal, but straight into the hands of Sells. Pretty anticlimactic. My goodness, that save was far from it. Gruda's cut back. Fabulous. The header leaping above everyone else. Diego Gomez free as a bird in the box, jumping, leaping above everyone, and the header looked like it was dipping just under the post, and a fabulous save with the fingertips by Matt Sells. That has kept Nottingham Forest in this, but for how long? Adingra down the right side, breaking into the box, so he goes for goal himself. Saved by Sells and cleared away by Forest. I told you they're clinging on. They are really clinging on with their last fingertip at the minute. They are ready to come crashing down. And Brighton are really knocking at the door. Simon Adingra skips away from a challenge. Nico Williams is going to see a yellow card for that challenge. He's really incensed. He doesn't believe it was a foul. I think it was. It certainly was. He got none of the ball and absolutely upended Simon Adingra. It's definitely a foul, definitely a yellow card for Nico Williams. Tired legs, tired minds. And Nottingham Forest look like they're exhausted at this minute. And now, with just over 10 minutes of the extra time to go, it's all Brighton. And if anybody's going to win this in extra time, it's going to be Brighton. I mean, bet on me saying that now, and Forest will probably win it. But anyway, Brighton are on top more than definitely in the ascendancy. And Pervis Estupiñán now with another set piece to try and give Brighton a winner in extra time. Estupiñán, left footer, goes for goal and hits it well wide of the right post. I mean, it's worth a hit. Fair enough. Wouldn't begrudge him a shot from there. 112th minute. Coming up close to the time that Danny Welbeck scored the winner in round 5 for Brighton in extra time against Newcastle. Maybe a bit of deja vu could be on the horizons, because they're certainly pushing for a winner, Brighton. And if anybody is going to get one, it looks like it's going to be them. Forest clinging on for dear life at the moment, hoping and praying that the goalkeeper can help them, and that their defenders can do everything they can to get it away from their box and deny Brighton a winner. Remember, these two are in midweek action. The Premier League is back in midweek, so... Oh, it's a bit awkward here for Van Hecke! Oh, the shot has gone wide for a corner from Jota Silva. That could have been massively collapsing. It would have been a demolishment of all things that Brighton have been building in extra time. Van Hecke loses the flight of the ball. It's like a deer in headlights, hasn't a clue where it's going, gets a bit lucky that Jota Silva gets the first contact, but it deflects off Van Hecke, gets a bit lucky there, and it goes for a Forest corner. All it takes is one moment, and this game can absolutely flip. Anthony Elanga to take this corner. First real attack for Forest in about 10 minutes. Elanga's cross cleared away at the front post. The shot fizzed by Aina, but nowhere it was going. And now Adingra trying to lead the charge for a Brighton counter. Ball over the top. Estupiñán will chase, but it looks like Aina might have this one covered. He's doing a bit of keepy-ups as he eventually clears it away. Again, Forest just can't keep the ball. Pedro, his header, a bit misplaced. But again, the clearance from Forest a bit loose. And then eventually, actually, Hinchelwood's clearance is a bit loose himself. And Forest get the ball, win the free kick from Brian Gruda. A yellow card for Gruda as well. See this again. Jota Silva breaking away with the ball. Slightly touched by Gruda. A little bit of a pull, a little bit of a tug. And it's a yellow card for Brian Gruda. That's the third yellow card of extra time. Yates, Williams... the fourth yellow card of extra time. Fourth yellow card of the game, third of extra time, yes. Estupiñán in the book as well, along with Yates and Williams, and now Brian Gruda. So 2 from each team on yellows. All 4 still in the game. 6 minutes of extra time to go, and Brighton will get a free kick here with a foul on João Pedro, given away by Nikola Milenkovic. Adingra back to Hinchelwood. Now João Pedro skipping away from a challenge, goes down again and gets another free kick, and that's got Brighton in a really good area. One centre back got to give away a free kick a moment ago. The other does exactly the same, but from a much more dangerous position in Murillo this time, fouling João Pedro. It's a free kick to Brighton, edge of the box, slightly to the right-hand side of goal. And this is a massive opportunity now, with 5 minutes of extra time to go to try and win this game. Sells has already made a good save or two. No doubt that the best one was that one from Diego Gomez a few minutes ago. Fingertip save from Matt Sells. He might need to do another one here if this is on target. It's Estupiñán and Diego Gomez who are over it for Brighton. As the referee sets up the Forest wall, making sure they're at least 10 yards away from goal, or away from the free kick position, sorry. Looks like it's going to be Estupiñán. He's the one that's eyeing up the measurements. Let's see. Whistle's gone. It is Pervis Estupiñán. Oh, took a deflection off the wall, I think. It did. It's a corner. There's not a major amount of whip or pace in that one. It just took a deflection off the wall. Maybe took the pace off it. It is a corner to Brighton. They're at third of extra time. They're sixth in the game overall. And Estupiñán has delivered them all. Here's another one. Estupiñán, left-footed, out-swinging corner. Cleared away at the front post by Hudson-Odoi. Just over 3 minutes of extra time to go. Adingra. Pedro. Back to Baleba. Now Van Hecke. Looking for forward players, looking for options. Just goes across the dunk. Back to Van Hecke again. Out wide it goes to the right side. Here is Gruda. Hinshelwood. Baleba lifts it over the top. Estupiñán's in there, heads it across, and it's gone in! But the flag's gonna go up against Pervis Estupiñán in the build-up. The ball's in the back of the nets. VAR will check it, but the decision is no goal on the field. We've got to see the replay. Estupiñán will be the one that's either on or offside. Let's see it again. He is miles offside, there's no doubt about that. No goal. Yeah, it's definitely offside, but what a header. Lovely moment, but he was miles offside, Pervis Estupiñán. It looks like Nottingham Forest are going to make a change here. It's going to be Morgan Gibbs-White, who scored a penalty in the shootout in round 5, and he's going to be replaced by a defender, I believe. Isn't it? It's Morato, yeah. Wow. That's a shock. An extra defender. Because Gibbs-White has taken a penalty in the last 2 shootouts for Forest in the FA Cup. Scored on both occasions. But he won't get the chance to do it for a 3rd successive time, as he's been taken off. And Morato is on in his place, or at least he will be. Oh, and I was going to say, Gibbs-White's gone off, but the substitute didn't come on. He didn't, Morato, and Gibbs-White's now been booked for complaining and making that point. I mean, I think that's shocking from the officials. How the 4th official didn't see Morgan Gibbs-White come off the field and then has the audacity to call the referee over to give him a yellow card. I mean, that's just stupidity. I mean, count on your fingers. Is there 10 or 11 players on the field? My goodness. Anyway, last 20 seconds or something of extra time. It's inevitable we're going to a shootout, unless Brighton can change it here. João Pedro gets to the edge of the box. Shot charged down. Jota Silva with a clearance. Forest clinging on for penalties. Brighton want to deny them that opportunity to make it a third successive FA Cup shootout this season. Adingra goes for the cross. Last chance. Murillo with a half clearance. Still alive. Minta couldn't keep it. Still alive is Aina. Over the 30 minutes we go. Aina's trying to get it away, but it's gone back towards his own box and it's cleared away of danger. Eventually, one added minute at the end of extra time. Say 30 seconds to go until a penalty shootout. Is there one last chance? Oh, Brighton have given it away here. Is there one chance for Forest? No. Ball's evaded Alanga, and Van Hecke will mop that one up. Is there one last chance in this game before a penalty shootout? It's probably been inevitable since the first half. Here comes João Pedro, edge of the box. Pedro trying to dribble his way through. Sea of red in his way. Gets the cross in, slides down. Ball still in play. Oh, it's gone away, and Alanga's tired legs give it away again. Brighton are still pushing. Is there one more chance? The time is certainly on their side. Pedro, Van Hecke trying to jink his way in as well. Pedro keeps it alive, and that is it. No more time in this game. After 120 minutes of football, give or take probably, 12 minutes of added time, probably 130 odd minutes of this game. It is finished 0-0, and a shootout has probably been inevitable since probably the first or second minute of this game. It's been always inevitable. Shootout incoming. Do stay with us as we will bring you through Nottingham Forest's third successive penalty shootout in the FA Cup this season. That's on the way next. Do stay with us. Welcome back to FA Cup Live. It's a penalty shootout to decide who's going to go through to the semi-finals. Is it Brighton or is it Nottingham Forest? We will see. Brighton got to a semi-final in 2023. Forest haven't been to a semi-final since 1991 when they got all the way to the final and lost it to Tottenham. I mean, that's a crime in and of itself to lose a game of football or a final to Tottenham. Anyway, that is what they'll be hoping to call to an end. That long wait of 34 years since they were last in an FA Cup semi-final. Just the massive 2 years since Brighton were in that position. And they lost that semi-final that time around. Well, let's see what they can offer from a penalty shootout. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on post notifications if you haven't done so already. That would be greatly appreciated, and we thank each and every one of you who's joining us here on LFS for this penalty shootout of the FA Cup quarter-finals. It's our second quarter-final tie. Palace have already booked their place to Wembley. 2 more games to come for you tomorrow, including Bournemouth Man City live here on LFS from 4:30. It's all about the goalkeepers in a shootout. One big save could change the fortunes in this shootout as the two teams are having their huddles, having their team chats. Whether it will be a positive or a negative end to the night for their teams. I have to say, there have been some big saves, some big moments. overall, it's probably inevitably going to end this way, as they're doing the toss at the minute. So the toss, it will be to the left side, so that will be the side of the Brighton fans. I believe the penalties will be taken. And now I've got to see who's going to take first. And I think Brighton will be taking first, I believe. We will see, from what I could gather, from my lip-reading methods, that's what I could gather, but we'll see. We'll see. And Bart Verbruggen and Matt Sells, the two goalkeepers. It's Brighton that's going to be going first, and it will be at the end of their supporters, so they have all the advantage they could probably want in a shootout. Matt Sells has taken his time. They certainly didn't make that discreet, that they were putting a bit of paper on his water bottle to tell him where each penalty taker will go, because he spent about 20 seconds getting it pasted onto his water bottle. They tried to figure that out. I mean, why didn't they have that pre-prepared? Anyway, it's João Pedro that's stepping up first. The referee has to chat to both both goalkeepers first before a shootout can be done. Move that camera. There we are. You get a proper view. João Pedro then, stepping up to take this first penalty, has scored 6 goals in his last 4 appearances in the FA Cup for Brighton. Now, this will be his biggest chance of the season in this competition for his team. Their first shootout of the season in the FA Cup, and a chance to try and give them the perfect start in the shootout. Taking first, at the end of which their fans reside, Brighton, as much advantage as you can want in a penalty shootout. It is João Pedro that's stepping up first. Matt Sells, who made a big save to send Forest through in round 5. Pedro stepping up against Matt Sells. Big deep breath, and João Pedro scores. Lovely penalty, really lovely penalty from João Pedro. Keeper went the right way, but he put a little bit of height behind the penalty, and he got it above Matt Sells, and the sheer power behind it. It was a very well taken penalty. 1-0 to Brighton. Next up, the first ticker for Forest is going to be Elliot Anderson. He took the 3rd penalty in round 4 and in round 5 shootouts. Scored both. Can he make it 3 out of 3 in the shootouts for Forest in the FA Cup this season? Elliot Anderson against Bart Verbruggen. Steps up and absolutely slots it in the far corner. Pretty anticlimactic, that one. 1-1. Yeah, Verbruggen dived to his right. And Elliot Anderson, the calmness and the composure to slot it in the far corner. Just a calm penalty. He knew exactly where he was going, and he committed to it to the far bottom right corner. 1-1. Now, it's going to be Brian Gruda, one of the substitutes for Brighton. So Brian Gruda, who come on to replace Jorginho Ruter, who was injured in the game. Gruda stepping up to try and give Brighton the lead in the shootout again. Gruda! Oh, lovely penalty. Another composed one. I think that time Matt Sells dived a little bit too quickly and gave him a little bit of an advantage, but it's a cleanly taken penalty. He was always going to his left there. Didn't really disguise it very well, Matt Sells. A blind man could see he was diving that way. Next up, Callum Hudson-Odoi. He scored his penalty in round 5 against Ipswich, did Callum Hudson-Odoi. Previous. Step up to take another one against Bardford-Bruggen this time. Callum Hudson-Odoi. Steely determination in his eyes. Big deep breath. Little run up. Oh, what a penalty. Top corner, lovely. Lovely penalty. Out of them all, probably the best technical penalty of the four that we've seen so far. Wonderfully taken. It's a risk to go with height in a shootout because you might sky it over the bar, but then you've got precision like that in a shootout. Confidence is never a worry. 2-2. And now it's Jack Hinshelwood for Brighton. All four penalties scored up to this point. Jack Hinshelwood has his saved by Matt Sells. It wasn't a great penalty by Hinshelwood. And now it's advantage Forest, as Nuno Espirito Santo can't bear to watch on, even though his side do have the advantage. It's a really poor penalty. Low to the right hand side. He really made it obvious. It was nowhere near the corner, and any keeper worth his pennies was going to save that one. And now it's a chance for Forest to take the lead in the shootout. Nico Williams, he also scored in round 5. And it's his 4th time this season he's taken a penalty for Forest. He's not missed any of his previous 3 to give Forest the lead in the shootout. Nico Williams. Oh, he's missed it! Oh wow, he's absolutely skied it! And that sent the crowd inside the Amex wild, because their punishment was not taken. They didn't receive a punishment from Nottingham Forest. They had their 3rd penalty saved. Forest one-upped them and completely missed the target, did Nico Williams. After 3 penalties apiece, it's 2-2. And back to Brighton with the advantage of taking it first. Diego Gomez, who's had more than a hatful of chances in the 90 minutes and the 120 minutes to win the game for Brighton, to give them the lead again in the penalty shootouts with their 4th penalty. Diego Gomez against Matt Sells. Steps up. Oh, it's right down the middle. That's a terrible penalty. And Matt Sells didn't even need to dive. Another one missed. Another one saved. My goodness me, that is arguably one of the worst penalties I've ever seen. That's dreadful. Right down the middle. The keeper didn't even need to move. That's shocking. Absolutely shocking. And it's now advantage Nottingham Forest again. 4 penalties scored. 3 now missed in a row. And now Nikola Milenkovic to try and give Forest the lead. Once again. Or for the first time in the shootout, sorry. Milenkovic against Verbruggen. Steps up. Oh, and finds the corner. And Forest have the lead. It's a must score now for Brighton. Otherwise they're out of the FA Cup. Miss and you're out. Score and you keep it alive. That's a lovely penalty by Milenkovic. Verbruggen dived the right way, but it was right in the bottom corner. It had to be precise. And it was. And Bard Verbruggen beaten by the precision of that one by Milenkovic. Now it's Lewis Dunk, the captain for Brighton, to either keep their hopes of progression alive or see them come crashing down if he doesn't convert. Score or you're out now. Lewis Dunk, all the pressure, and finds the net. That's what a captain should do. And he keeps Brighton in the shootout. But it all comes down to this. 1 penalty for Nottingham Forest. Brighton have scored 3 of their 5. Forest have scored 3 of their 4. They score this one and they're through. They miss and we go to sudden death. And one captain stepped up and scored. It's Ryan Yates, the Forest captain, stepping up to try and send them through to an FA Cup semi-final. Score and you're through. Miss and we're into sudden death. Ryan Yates against Bart Verbruggen steps up and gets it through. Forest are into the semi-finals. Maybe a slice of luck going Ryan Yates' way that it found its way through the hands of Bart Verbruggen. But who cares? It did find its way through. And Nottingham Forest are in their first FA Cup semi-final in 34 years. 1991, the last time they were heading to Wembley in this competition. They went on to the final. They would love to do that again and replicate that journey again. A third successive FA Cup penalty shootout victory. They just can't be beaten in a shootout. Forest have claimed victory again. And this time Brighton are the team to fall by the wayside. They had the chance to go to another semi-final, but they missed 2 penalties in a row, and that saw their hopes come crashing down. Forest absolutely imperious in penalty shootouts. Their third successive shootout victory in the FA Cup this season sees them in their first FA Cup semi-final in 34 years. Congratulations to Nottingham Forest. Well deserved, hard fought. They hung in there in the end and they came out victorious in the shootout for the third successive time. Final result in this FA Cup quarter-final tie. After extra time, Brighton 0, Forest 0. Nottingham Forest win 4-3 on penalties. Wow. What a game. What an ending. Oh, wow. I mean, no matter what type of absolute rubbish game you have before a penalty shootout, they always seem to deliver. Penalty shootouts are the ultimate excitement. They're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. I love them. And Nottingham Forest, I can't believe they've won 3 penalty shootouts in a row in the same competition, back to back to back. Round 4 beating Exeter, round 5 knocking out Ipswich, and now the quarter-finals beating Brighton. I mean, that's incredible. Incredible. I think they can barely believe it, their players. But they're into an FA Cup semi-final for the first time in 34 years. 1991 was the last time Nottingham Forest were in an FA Cup semi-final. And they're heading to Wembley. They're going again. And they will have their big day out. And hope that it will be the first of 2 big days out at Wembley come the end of this season. We'll find out who they will face in the semi-finals at the end of tomorrow's games in the FA Cup. For you, let's show you what way the quarter-finals look then. So, Fulham were beaten by Crystal Palace by 3-0 at lunchtime. And it's brought us all the way to a penalty shootout after a 0-0 draw after 120 minutes. Here this evening between Brighton and Forest, and Nottingham Forest win 4-3 on penalties. Quite incredible, quite remarkable. Don't forget then that we are back tomorrow for another FA Cup quarter-final day of action as Preston take on Aston Villa. That's the early kickoff at lunchtime, but we'll be live for 4:30 as Bournemouth take on Manchester City in the fourth and final quarter-final live here on LFS, and we will have the draw for the semi-final shortly after the conclusion. The semi-finals of this competition take place on the 26th and the 27th of April over that weekend, and we will have them both live here on LFS. Wow, what an ending to this Saturday of action. An incredible outcome for Nottingham Forest. The third successive penalty shootout win this season in the FA Cup. And they're through to their first FA Cup semi-final since 1991. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for your company. Night-night.